buyers have gotten sophisticated, trust is gone, and it's like you have to build brand that is cool, you have to build brand that means something, and you have to build a relationship with people if you want to really win long term.
How do you really set yourself up mentally to be prepared of like, this is who I am, this is how I operate?
You have to choose something, and you have to just keep chugging along at that goal every single day and watch what unfolds and accept the fact that it may end up somewhere that you don't like and have to pivot. When you make the decision as big as like, this needs to be the thing that I do forever, even if it seems fucking perfect and great, it can end up wrong.
What's it like experiencing negative outcomes or situations that you cannot attribute to your own behavior?
Brand goes so far. And I especially think like right now leading into 2026, like brand is back. Like it doesn't mean that direct response marketing principles and shit don't apply. They do. They're always valuable, but it's just like the bro marketing of 2019 is played out. It doesn't convert the way that it used to. Even on like the young creator side, like we're seeing so much attention go to, you know, young creators who are really putting attention on cinematic storytelling and making real art. And that and brand, it's like, I think that shit really fucking wins over the next few years big time, because it hasn't been present in the last, 4 or 5 years. It was just like, who can put out the best messaging and convert quickly. But it's like, I think everything, buyers have gotten sophisticated, they're getting
trust is gone.
And it's like, you have to build brand that is cool. You have to build brand that means something, and you have to build a relationship with people if you want to really win long term.
100% agreed. Yeah. I think it's like we're really seeing, it's like for a long time it was like either you're an operator or you're an artist. And I think people are exhausted from just like people want to have an experience. People really want to experience something that's special and that feels significant and feels more than just an energy drink or more than just this one thing. They want a story around it.
And dude, like that artist piece too, like not enough people really see themselves as artists. And like Arlen is one person who really brought the artist out in me. Like he's always been super art led.
He's been exceptional at it.
Yes. And he's really fucking good at it. He's also, I mean, it's like you look at how he was brought up, like his parents are artists and teachers, and like he grew up learning, like reading history of art books and like doing shit like that. And he's an amazing piano player and all of these things. But like when I was a kid, like really engaged in a lot of things like that. Like I spent an enormous amount of time in my youth sketching. Like I love to draw, and it was something that like I haven't done in an enormous amount of time. And because I was just so focused on business and I didn't understand the value of art.
Have you gotten back into it recently?
Yeah. So I've been doing a ton of things, just kind of like bring the artist back out in me, because I like really discovered that like that was so much more me.
Yeah.
And, I got divorced at the end of last year, essentially. And that sent me into a really weird phase of figuring out, who I was and what I really wanted out of the rest of my life. This was kind of timed up with like a really weird point in my career where, I had closed down Wake Up Wealthy 18 months earlier. I was, I just turned 32. So it was like cresting into my 30s, all of these things that like were really rocks for me in my life, of like my business, my marriage, these things kind of all disappeared, and like with them a bunch of my identity. And it like finding my way back to some of that and really figuring out like, what do I value about myself was an incredible process. Crazy hard, crazy dark at moments, but
what's that like, losing like all of the big things that kind of your routine is gone. Your big like work accolades are no longer relevant because it's not what you're actively doing. Going through divorce, mid-30s, like what's it like going through? Because people talk about like psychedelic ego deaths of like, I took a bunch of drugs and had an ego death. But I think that's kind of cope in a lot of ways. Of a real ego death is like watching everything that you kind of have placed your routine and sense of normalcy in. Just like those things dissolving is a lot more ego death.
Dude, 1,000%. I haven't really thought about like it in the frame of ego death, but it's like, the amount of humbled that I've been in the last 3 years, because it was like, dude, I went to rehab at 21. I got out within 18 months. I was fucking cranking and I never stopped, like I have never not been winning. And I went through a period where it was like, I made a conscious decision to roll down Wake Up Wealthy, but I didn't understand how much of my identity was going to go down with it. I didn't understand the chaos that was going to ensue. I had a marriage that was struggling, my second kid on the way, 40,000 a month in personal overhead, and the pressure that I carried around was fucking enormous.
Yeah.
And, I had always considered myself a strong dude and who could carry a lot and who was resilient. But like over time, it just literally stripped, and then ultimately leading to divorce and splitting from my ex-wife and like, finding a new reality. It was like all of that stripped everything away from me. And it was just like, okay, where do we go from here? And
how did you navigate the void?
I mean, I did a really poor job for a while.
Yeah.
Like there were just for the first time in my life, like I had felt helpless and like I had reached, and like depression and anxiety is something that like I've always battled. Obviously I battled addiction really hard for years and ended up in recovery. Like I'm no stranger to the impact of mental illness, but it was like, there was a depth of depression that I reached that I had never reached before. And there were days where it was just like my will to move was low. And when you also strip away like the winning, it's like you start to question your confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, fuck, was I just like a one-trick guy in my 20s? Was I like, do I not actually know all of these things that I thought I knew? I also struggled with a really difficult question. It was like, I had been sold this promise that if you show up, you work hard, you try to be a good dude, you help people, that like, it's all going to be great. And, I still try to engage with that promise, but I went through a pretty nasty period of saying, look, I felt like I just did all of those things at a really high level for a decade straight. I can point to hundreds of people who would say this guy changed my life. And I mean, marriages I had saved, businesses I had saved, people I built from the ground up. It was just like, I felt like I couldn't have been doing better work for people.
Yeah.
And here I was, 31 years old, at the lowest point in my fucking life. And not that like I never had any part of it, but I was where I was perfect, but I was like, seemingly I did a really great job, and I was just like, how the fuck does this make sense?
Can't I just take a break? Like,
yeah,
I not earn this?
Yeah. And it was just like, dude, where is the reciprocity that I was promised? And that question, while I never really answered it, I had to just kind of put it down and just because then what am I supposed to do?
Right. Become bitter and ungrateful.
Be bitter, not trust people, not get close to people, not be optimistic. It's like, no, that's not an experience of life that I think is worth living either.
Yep.
And so I have to just set this down for a moment and try to reset and see what happens.
Wow.
Right. But it's super day by day, and I always saw value and preached on living in the present and not stressing out too much about the future and not dwelling too much on the past. But like, I got to a point where I had to do it to survive, and there are a lot of fucking lessons in there, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like right now is all we get to really engage with. It's the only thing that is ever true. And if you're not doing it, you are going to have a much lower quality of life than you could. And if you aren't doing it in times of extreme pain and chaos, like you won't make it through the storm,
It's a super simple saying, but make the most of what you have.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about the 100 miles that I did and the 50 miles that you've done. There was a point at mile 75 where I was like completely done. I was in so much pain. I thought I was going to like break my knee. I'm like, I had knee surgery a while ago, and so I have knee issues. And so like I had convinced myself, I had enrolled myself, and like one more step is going to ruin me. Like I can't do any more. And so what we ended up doing is I was like, okay, well I can walk around the kitchen table. Yeah. So it's mile 77.7. And I'm like, I can't go back outside. I can't do another 23 miles of this. I'm done. My body's destroyed. Yeah. I'm low on time. Like
it's another marathon.
There's no way I can go do another marathon.
Yeah.
Like, in the pain that I am in, the fatigue I have, like this is a risk. And I enrolled every single person in my life. Like people are texting me 70 miles is great. Like, congratulations, you did it. Like I texted people, it's over. And one of my boys is, shout out to Matt. Matt was like, can you walk around the kitchen table? And I was like, fuck it, why not? So we walked, make the most out of what you have, right? And I just walked around the kitchen table. I'm like, oh, I could do this a couple more times. And I ended up walking around the kitchen table like something like 400 times. We ended up doing 4.5 miles just walking around the kitchen table. Because he was like, at that point, like my psychological state was so destroyed.
It was the only thing you could make sense of.
Yes.
And accept.
Yes. And it's like, that was it. It's, you know, like the 7-figure business gone, the social media gone, the relationship gone, like none of that matters. But can I walk around a kitchen table? And it's like the most, I remember like doing it, and I'm in this like hypnotic state of pain and misery. And it's like that lowest of low moment. And it's like just 1 foot, man. And I was doing like 30-minute miles. I'm like barely crawling.
Yeah.
I'm like shuffling along. And I'm like, just one more step, just one more lap of the kitchen table. Because it's all I could conceptualize.
Yeah.
But what was cool about it is not giving up. Even though I was at the lowest point physically I think I've ever been in, not giving up in that moment and just deciding to walk around the kitchen table for like 3 hours gave me the psychological momentum to then see myself at 81 miles or 82 miles and say, I can do the other 18.
We're good. Yeah. There's always a breakthrough moment, you know, and the year that I was doing ultras, I learned more about myself and about resilience and about how to move forward than I have in any period of my life, more than when I got sober, more than anything I've done in business. Like 2019, the year that I was running, I learned so fucking much. It's like, I would be out there because I was training 50 miles a week. Wow. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I would run between 6 and 9 miles. Saturday, I would run 20. Sunday, I would run 10. Yep. And it was like, I would be out there on 20-mile runs fucking every Saturday in the end of my training leading up to the 50. And it was just like, sometimes it was 4 miles in, sometimes it was 12 miles in, sometimes it was multiple times throughout the run where it was just like, I don't know how to move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can go home right now. Nobody's going to care.
Yeah. It's like, who fucking I mean, literally, I lived in Missouri at the time. I'm like literally just some dude running around town.
Yep.
Like, you know, I was like,
everybody's like looking at you and
this is fucking pointless.
Yes.
And it was like, on top of that, like, I'm in so much pain physically and mentally that like, I don't know how to move. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I would have to play so many mental games of just like, okay, literally that light pole up there, like I'm going to get there and we'll reassess.
Yes.
Right. And then it's just like, you try to reset as quickly as you can. Like you don't give yourself time to really have the conversation. It's just like, okay, next light pole.
Yep.
Right. And then eventually like enough of those like small decisions, then you're just running through light poles for a minute until you reach the next breaking point.
Yep.
And it's like, it's never going to be this hard every moment. It's like you were going to catch wind. Like you were going to get everything working in your favor at some point. And it's like, soak that up as much as possible because those are the fucking awesome times, and let that recharge you and refill you for when it's going to get hard again. But if when things are good, you're not soaking it up, you're not going to recharge enough to have what you need in the tank to fight the hard time.
Yes.
Right? I think the mistake that people make so much is things are going really well and they're not soaking it up. They're not letting that fill them up. And they're just thinking about when it's going to get hard again or when it's going to be over, even though they're in flow. And then when it gets hard, they haven't recharged enough to actually engage in the fight.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think it's incredibly important when things are going super well and you've got the wind at your back to just like truly fucking appreciate it and let go and be like, this is awesome, because it fills the tank for when the wind is in your face.
Yeah. And it's the rules of engagement that I kind of learned through this experience is when things have gotten really hard, rule number 1 is just don't stop. Yeah. It's like, just keep moving when you have the wall. And then when things are good, it's, to your point, appreciate everything, expect nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let me just get as far as I can while this is happening, because I know it's not going to last.
Yeah.
So it's like, let me just appreciate what is and not expect this to be the entirety of what's to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, expectation in like general is a nasty word.
Yeah.
It comes loaded with a million things. Like in the world of AA, they have this saying that you hear a lot, that expectation is premeditated resentment. And that one has always stuck with me. I've always coached around it. And it doesn't mean that like you shouldn't have expectations of people in your life or that there shouldn't be reciprocity in your engagements or transactional engagements. But it's like the more you pour into expectation, the more you're setting yourself up for failure. It's like expectation ruins nearly anything.
Yeah.
It's like you have to just put your best effort in and hope that the best comes back.
100%. And you know, it's like, I think a lot, at least in the social media space, people are expecting to be a millionaire at 20 years old and want 100,000 followers by the end of the year, whatever it is. And the recognition is like, all I can do is have a general direction of like, okay, I know that overall in my life, like I want to be healthier, I want to be more financially successful, and I want to love and contribute to society more and more. Like I want to see the world as a better place as much as possible. And then it's like you just go in that general direction without an expectation of how it's going to turn out. Otherwise, you find yourself, you know, it's January 1st, and it's like new year, new me. And then by January 10th, you haven't lost 100 pounds yet. And so you're upset.
Yeah, and or even, you know, you reach the next January 1st and it's like shit just didn't play out the way that you thought. You know what I mean? Life's fucking crazy. It's never going to stop throwing you curveballs. It's always going, like everything that you want is always going to be a little bit harder or a lot harder or take a little bit or a lot longer than you think. Period. Every once in a while you'll get surprised and something just clicks. But the reality is if your expectation is that things are going to go pretty smooth, I think you're setting yourself up for failure. Doesn't matter if it's in business, relationships, you know, anything to do with yourself and your own psyche. It's like shit's fucking hard. The world is completely random. It's fucking crazy. Being a human being is hard. And if you don't, like, if you reject the worst possibilities, then you're never going to be ready to deal with them.
Yes.
You know, like I've always said, like, I completely recognize that no matter how good it gets, like I can always get zeroed out in any area of life. Shit just fucking happens.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like when you accept that, you're way better at taking on risk, betting on yourself, because it's not this condition to you making a big play, right? It's like if losing is the reason that you're not starting, like you're not going to fucking win, you know?
Because it comes with winning.
It is part of the fucking process, or, you know, depending on how you're defining the loss, small or big, right? But even the big loss is always going to be a possibility. And if that's not baked into how you're making the bet, it'll fucking wreck you.
This is a really transformative conversation for me because I went through this in 2023. I was, you know, come off an Ironman, 7-figure business, beautiful woman. Like, I think my life is perfect. I'm living in Morocco, and I'm like, this was the vision board 3 years ago. Like, these are the days I used to pray for, which is a beautiful thing, and I'm very grateful for it. And then I injure my knee, tear my patellar tendon and my PCL ligament. End up moving back to Colorado with my family. So girlfriend's in Morocco. Now we have an 8-hour time difference. We're not talking as much. We end up splitting up. I can't walk at all. My knee gets infected. It goes septic. My business partner and I have a huge falling out, end up splitting up in the business. And I'm looking at my life, and like all three kind of primary buckets of my life as a 23-year-old, health, wealth, and relationships, all just got zeroed out overnight. And I'm living with my parents in a house that I didn't grow up in. So like alien environment, even though it's my family. And I beat myself up so hard for that, of like, I just kind of shut down. Where I was like, oh my God, like it all got taken away literally in a matter of weeks. It was like 4 weeks and everything was gone.
Yeah. And it's just like seemingly random in how this all happened and the dominoes laid out, right? It would be different if you just like knowing, you could point to one thing that you just like knowingly, it was like, I fucked this up so bad.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, at least you could own that and like have some understanding. But when life throws seemingly random consequences at you that create a domino effect, it is enormously difficult to make sense of. And the more time you spend trying to make sense of it, the more insane you go. That's how it was for me.
What was that like having things? Because there's like the Jocko Willink, like absolute ownership of like things go wrong or there's a domino effect in a negative direction. And Jocko would be like, well, it's all your fault, and figure out why it's your fault and do that. What's it like experiencing like negative outcomes or situations that you cannot attribute to your own behavior?
It's frustrating. You know what I mean? And there's little, you know, micro things you can take accountability for and maybe point to this, and this, and then assume the domino effect and whatever, but it doesn't really do it. And it's like, I think extreme ownership and that mindset is a great principle. I think most people need to hear it because they're taking far less ownership than they need to. But the reality is there are things that just fucking happen. And your ability to just let go is your only path to finding your way back. You know, because it's like there are certain things that you're just not going to make sense of. You know, it's like, period. Right? It's like, take investing and take a crazy scenario like the FTX scandal.
Right.
I had a lot of money get locked up in FTX. And if I trace my decisions back, it's like this was the second biggest crypto company in the world. They literally had their name on fucking stadiums in the United States, right? It couldn't have felt more chill.
Yeah, legitimate.
And legitimate, right? And yeah, crypto was still a new space at the time and whatever, but like we were all playing that game. To look at fucking 2008 and Lehman Brothers, right? And mortgages.
Yeah, you can bank on the trust of this, and then it turns out, nope.
Yeah, it's like, half the fucking country lost their entire retirement and seemingly something they never could have avoided, right? It was like based on what they knew, real estate was solid. And they never could have known, and it's like, how does extreme ownership apply to that? Like, don't invest in real estate? Like, okay, then what? It's like if it can happen there, it can happen somewhere else. It's just like I don't think extreme ownership applies.
Yeah, that's the finance industry calls it like black swan events.
Yeah, black swan events are going to happen.
Yes, and it's a very stoic perspective to have of like there are actually most things, almost everything is outside of my control.
Yes.
So then I love that the frame of like indifference, of preferred indifference, dispreferred indifference, but indifference always. Of like, okay, my health is here and I'm going to appreciate my health. And yes, I can work out. And yes, I can eat food. But there's also reality of there's things outside of my control with my physical health.
It's like we can name a million examples, right? Yeah. You've got a fucking 7-year-old child. His parents gave him the best, most optimal life, fed him good, high quality food. Somehow he gets cancer.
Yep.
Right? It's like, tell me how extreme ownership applies.
Yeah.
To the parents or the kid. Yeah. Like, it just doesn't fucking work. And like I said, I think it's a good practice for most people who aren't taking accountability in their lives, but it is not an absolute, as almost nothing is, except for the fact that we know nothing.
I've written on the window in my bedroom, control the controllables. And so it's like that 7-year-old and that family, it's like, it's a horrifying situation to be in. And it's like, absolute ownership may not apply, and also how can we make the most out of the situation that we're in?
For sure. Like, what do you have complete ownership over? Like how you respond and how you react.
100%. That's it. Yeah. I have a good friend of mine, Landon Rhodes. He's a videographer, online marketing guy, and he got lymphatic cancer like 2 years ago. And the doctors are like, you'll never have kids again. You're probably going to die. Like 90% chance you're going to die. And he just rejected all of their stuff, and he goes, okay, how can I respond to this situation? And did everything in his control, physically, mentally, turned really, really deep into God, and actually just had a baby a couple months ago. Crazy transformation. And it's interesting to see like that level of like the balance of like absolute ownership with how I'm going to respond to this. Like, I'm not going to let the circumstance control me or cripple me, and also total grace and like forgiveness of like, I don't need to beat myself over the head with judgments of what led me to this situation. All I have to do is focus on how I respond.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's like, these are really difficult things to execute flawlessly.
Yeah.
And the only way that you get a little bit better at them is by really going through the trench on it.
Yeah. So if let's say you're talking to someone, what would be your advice to, we'll just speak to myself, of a mid 20-year-old dude. I just turned 25 2 days ago, and things are not the way that I want them to be. Like, obviously there's a lot that we want to control, and a lot of things that I want to change about my life, especially like right now looking at my brand, my business. Like, I want to upgrade things. And also there's like, I feel like there's not a lot to grab onto right now. So how do you navigate that?
Yeah. So if I'm to give like a short, quippy piece of general advice, it's like, if you're young right now, you have some skills and you really want to start winning at a high level, like, you have to choose a direction and just go in it and do the next right thing, right? You have to accept too that like it may not be the right direction. You're never going to be able to say, hey, this is the perfect play. You have to choose something, and you have to just keep chugging along at that goal every single day and watch what unfolds, and accept the fact that it may end up somewhere that you don't like and have to pivot, right? But when you make the decision as big as like, this needs to be the thing that I do forever, and it like needs to be the one, it's just, you're never going to find that right thing, because you will never be able to know that, right? Even if it seems fucking perfect and great, it can end up wrong, and so you have to just choose something and just do the next right thing, one foot in front of the other. Just keep building and keep working towards what you think seems like the right direction at that time. Because if you're constantly sitting back and looking around and saying, is this it, you're just going to lose years. And the lessons that you will gain, even charging a thing that may end up the wrong thing, are invaluable. Not to mention, along the way, you'll make more money, you'll develop more skills, you'll build more relationships with people. Like, it'll be better, but you have to choose something, and that's been such a huge lesson for me.
How do you alter the identity of that, of choosing something that you might not be like, you might have identified, like I look at Alex Hormozi a lot, and Alex Hormozi is someone that seems extremely rock solid on his identity. He knows who he is, he knows what he likes, he knows what he wants, and he knows what he's focused on. Versus like changing directions or choosing a new opportunity when you're deciding to push all your chips in. How do you really set yourself up mentally to be prepared of like, this is who I am, this is how I operate, this is how I show up, these are the routines I follow?
So identity is something that I've actually recently been thinking a fair amount about. Like, a lot of people in the coaching space talk about identity. And it's something that I'm like starting to reject the way that it is being talked about and the way that it's being approached. It's like, identity isn't about outcome or what you do. Identity is about how you show up and your worldview, in my opinion, right? And how you show up on a day-to-day basis and with the people in your life and with yourself. It's like, that is completely agnostic of whatever you're doing or wherever you're heading, as is with your worldview. It's like your worldview around what is ethical and what is unethical, and what you think is right and wrong in the world. It's like all of that is agnostic of whatever you're doing in your life from a career perspective or whatever goals you have. And I think that it's really important because I think it's really important to view it this way, because if you start attaching identity to the business and to the career, well, it's like fucking anything can happen in business and career that can go wrong. And it's like, that goes wrong. Well, you just pulled your identity out from under the rug with it, which we both experienced, right? But when your identity is completely agnostic of all of those things, and it's just about what you think is right and wrong and showing up and adhering to that in the best way that you can, well, then you've got something that can persist through any amount of challenge or chaos. And that's how I think identity should be approached. And I think that if you build an identity and a worldview that, if you adhere to that, also contributes to building a successful career, awesome. Anyone trying to build a good worldview around what is right and wrong and how they should show up, naturally, unless your head's all fucked up and you're just really confused about what's right and wrong in the world, it's like those things are going to contribute to success no matter what.
I'm obsessed with the book As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And one of the big quotes of the book, and it's just common in general, it's also in the Bible, is as a man thinketh, so will he be. And it's, from my understanding of this perspective that you have, it's, and really going back to the basics of like, make the most out of what you have and just focus on showing up on a day-to-day. It's like, can I be optimistic about a situation? Can I look at the world with a positive light? And then what are even if it's very limited, what are the small responsibilities that I have right now, and how can I just handle them the best of my ability?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, dude, that's such a short book that literally every fucking person should read. Yeah. It's so good. But yeah, it's like also understanding the process in which you create change and how you get feedback and grow as a human. You know what I mean? It's just, thoughts are going to influence actions, actions are going to influence outcomes, and outcomes are going to circle back and influence thoughts, right? And somewhere along the way, when you want to start taking control and having agency over your life, you have to temporarily put a pin in the throughput of that cycle and completely own one of those areas. You know what I mean? It has to be thoughts or actions, right? And sometimes for people, really taking control of their thoughts is hard. And so it's like, take control of your actions. Just like we were talking about in running, it's like, no matter how bad things are, you can take one more right action. No matter how down you are, no matter how pointless it seems, you can do one more thing that logically makes sense to produce a good outcome. And over time, like we were talking about with the light post, it's like over time, those right actions start to create some good outcomes. Those outcomes naturally have a positive impact on the thoughts that are happening. And then you've got a positive circle and throughput going on.
Yep. Regardless of how dark it's gotten, it's like, okay, you build up enough light posts, you build up enough steps in the right direction. You psychologically build up that positive momentum.
Correct.
Go in the right direction. What do you think about the like 5-hour mental morning routine of like, okay, I'm going to read my affirmations, then I'm going to do my journaling, then I'm going to do my positive programming meditation and my, my NLP hypnosis on my new identity and how I'm going to show up. Do you think, those types of like positivity stacks or like those identity frameworks are actually effective?
So on the topic of really lengthy morning routines, I think that they can be super effective for the beginner, right? Because it's not about what you're doing in those things. It's about just stacking wins on the day and building momentum. And why I say for a beginner, well, one, they usually don't have a lot going on that's like taking away from, right? It's like at this point in my life right now with like really built out businesses and 2 kids and like a relationship, it's like fucking spending 3 hours in the morning, like getting ready for my day is taking away from a lot. But when I was in my early 20s and throughout my mid 20s, it's like I was doing a lot of things like that because I didn't have anything better to do. And it's like these are wins, right? Yes. If you don't have anything better to do, these are wins. Yes. I do think that no matter where you're at in your life, you need to have some sort of process in the morning for getting into your just like into war mode or like into a point of stability, because it's like you wake up every day at a million different places based on a million different variables, right? Like how much sleep did you get? What was the quality of that sleep? Literally fucking barometric pressure. Like there are so many things influencing it where you wake up, if this is your baseline, sometimes you wake up here, sometimes you wake up here, sometimes you wake up way down here. And so as you bring on more in your life, it's like you need to identify what are the just tiny little things that I need to do to just get me at my baseline every morning before I start, right? And for some people, this probably doesn't take more than like some really trained thought or, a couple little action items. But it's like, the routines that I was doing in my early and mid 20s, I would never fucking do now.
Yeah,
but
they're
unsustainable, and they would just be taking away from things that are higher ROI or just flat out more important. But the reality is also like going through some of those lengthy processes when I was a beginner, they sharpened my skill to kind of extract what I got out of those from much smaller processes now.
Yes.
It's like, as an example, for probably 4 or 5 years, I meditated 30 to 90 minutes a day without fail. In that 5 years, probably missed 25 days. Like I was just extremely fucking consistent with meditation. Yeah. And my ability to tap into what meditation can give you now almost on command to think clearly and make better decisions and be objective and be an observer. It's like the years of doing that, putting in 30 to 90 minutes a day, gave me what seems like instant access to like being an observer of myself now. Right. And so it's like I spend an infinitely less amount of time in meditation now than I did for years. But because I got so familiar with the process of getting to that point and what it feels like to be in that point, my recall and my access is just much, much faster.
Yeah, but it's impossible to access without repetition.
It's impossible to get that kind of speed that I have now without the years of repetition, yes.
Yeah, it becomes muscle memory, right?
Correct.
Where it's this thing that once took 60 minutes a day to acquire, you can now tap into in 3 breaths. And it's just like a switch. I think it's very comparable to like fitness, right?
Yes.
Where it's you build up, it might take years of actually tracking calories and being obsessive about your fitness to get to a position or a place where you can just maintain. And everybody wants the reward without any of the sacrifice required to attain it. And that's the beautiful thing is like, okay, this life is very limited. There's very few things that I'll be able to truly master or pour thousands of hours into.
Yep.
And I might as well front load the investment into myself and my character, my ability, my state of mind, my control over myself. And so then from that understanding, okay, let me front load the hours into the physical well-being, into the mental well-being, into the meditation or the exercise, whatever those things are, because those will pay dividends in every other area of my life whether it's relationships, business, whatever else.
Yeah. And when you're deconditioning the mind from whatever programming you grew up with and trying to install a new operating system, it's like the mind doesn't really recognize the severity of wins, you know, in a way that maps onto reality, right? It's like those little things in the morning, it's like those are wins. You know, it's like the mind functions in a super binary way. Like you check the box, you either won or you didn't, right? And when you have nothing else going on, yeah, I absolutely think you should build a morning routine that's like kind of hard to stick to because you are prepping yourself for being able to navigate much harder things in more difficult times, right? The significance of those wins is going to grow, and the significance of the consequences of not having those wins is also going to grow, right? But it's like you need to build the ability to just be consistent and be disciplined, period. You know, and the best time to do it, the absolute best time to do it is when you have nothing else going on.
Yeah. And then you can find those like small little pieces of that routine that you actually love. Like Bill Gates still does his dishes every night.
That's wild.
Yeah, and I love that because it's like Bill Gates found, like doing the dishes at the end of the day is a perfect psychological reset for me.
Yeah.
Like just loading the dishwasher and doing that is what I want to do. And so it might not be like there's a Jewish tradition or a Jewish prayer that as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, the Jews say this prayer that is essentially like God has control over all things and I'm thankful for him. And it's like that mental reset. Or for Bill Gates, it's doing the dishes.
Sure.
But finding those like little tiny things that you can anchor into. As Jordan Peterson says, like just clean your room.
Yeah.
It's like those simple, tiny little things. If you front load them and you just do a ton of it in the beginning, you'll figure out which ones actually work for you and which ones you can condense into a small, tiny ritualistic practice to recenter.
Yeah, like what you're trying to get to is minimum effective dose.
Yes.
Like recently, so my girlfriend is also, she has a huge coaching business. She crushes it in the like women's business coaching space. And I was showing her a bunch of my old like personal reporting and things that I was tracking where every single day I called them the mastery metrics. And so I was literally tracking as much data as I possibly could. I was checking off my personal and business non-negotiables every day. Then I was tracking all my Whoop data day over day. I was tracking my macros, how much water I had, my sleep. And it was like I had these sheets that were just filled out every fucking day for years. And it was so much data, and I was trying to understand what can I learn from this. And she was like, well, you don't really do any of that now. It's like, she's like, are you less committed to yourself now than you were then? And I was like, no. And on the surface, it seems like that. But tracking this data for years, I came to understand what is the minimum effective dose of each of these things and what metrics are actually important.
Right.
You know, I learned that I spent time tracking that data for years, and I was only using a super small amount of it to really drive the energy that I wanted to show up with and the quality of life that, you know, or the quality of self that I really desired. And it was a fun experience. It was like objectively wasted time, but I learned a ton around finding my way into minimum effective dose.
Well, and it's in business, I have this saying that I work with clients on of like measure what matters, but first you have to measure everything to identify what
to know what matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's Steve Jobs had that framework of like signal versus noise.
Yeah.
Of like always optimizing for a signal and excluding as much noise as possible. And so it led him to really only being focused on one or two key elements, which is like user experience and design.
Yep.
And so he just hyper fixated on these things that are proven to work in these proven principles. And the nice part with like the internet and everything else is we can actually like create, like we can look at everything that you've learned and everything that everybody else on the internet's learned. And we can go, okay, we know that these kind of key elements of like journaling, meditation, KPIs in business, like we can kind of figure out what are the baseline most important metrics to measure.
Yep.
And then you still have to kind of fuck around and find out.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Like I'm consulting a company right now. They're doing almost $300,000 a month, and they are doing a really good job of tracking a lot of data, but they are seemingly confused about what is the story that it's telling. And I'm like, you know, you've got essentially like 20, what feels like 20 people as a metaphor, shouting different things at you.
Yeah.
And you've done a really good job of building reporting and trying to pay attention to the numbers. But now you really need to get more sophisticated around how you're doing reporting. And that's through simplifying of like, what is actually required to tell the story that we want here. And I think, you know, the first hump that you get business owners over is tracking numbers and really paying attention and understanding and accepting the fact that they are the thing that fucking matters. Yeah. And then when you really graduate to the next level, it's being able to tell a story through data and reporting that gives you the best possible information to build your next hypothesis. Because business is simply a game of iteration, right? And every iteration, you're building the next best educated guess. And when you simplify reporting down to numbers that really matter and tell a story that you want and need, you can have the best possible chance of building the best hypothesis for whatever the next move is, right? And you're only X amount of iterations away from everything that you want, right? And so being able to make better and more educated guesses and shortening feedback loops is how you iterate your way into the success that you want quickly.
And that it's a lot different than like the scientific process where you can isolate a variable and you say, okay, we can test this single variable, versus in life and in business, it's multivariate testing. There's 1,000 different numbers to measure. There's 1,000 different things that can go wrong. So you really just have to look at all that and say, okay, what's the one thing that I can iterate on with the most control and just focus on those numbers?
Yeah. And it's like functionally the way that you make decisions in business and the way that you think about iteration isn't that different than the scientific method. But to your point, the difference is you can really isolate a controlled variable in science. In business, every single metric you look at is a blended metric. It is all influenced by many other things. And so it's like you have to look at what is the best blended metric for me to be able to predict a future story, right? And so I was literally posting about this on my story last night. I think that the most important number inside of a sales process to track is either dollar per booked call or dollar per lead. Right, which in like
is that cost per lead or revenue per lead?
Revenue per cash, front end cash per lead.
Yes.
Right, because it's going to be the best number that you can use to predict future success and also set goals. Right, and so if you were trying to set your targets for the month and you know that you have $1,000, on average when a call gets booked, accounting for show rate and lead quality and all of these other fucking things, it's like when you have enough historical data to make a reasonable assumption, it's like, okay, we have a $1,500 per
cash
per call,
yep.
Right? Per booked call,
yep.
Right? Cash per call. Then we know exactly how many calls we need to book this month to hit our target. Or if we're behind and we need to make up some revenue, this is exactly how many additional calls we need to get onto the calendar, right? And it's like that metric is a very blended metric. It considers show rate, it considers lead quality, it considers everything.
Conversion rate,
close rate, everything. But if you have and how much you're collecting of the total contract value, right? It's just like there's so many things that go into it. But if you have 3 or 6 months of data to show what your number is, you can make a pretty educated guess around what it's going to mean. And you can base so many good guesses and moves off of that number. I think it's the most important number inside of a sales process, period.
So let's say a business owner's not at that place. Let's say they don't have the data or the tracking in place to actually look at, okay, what's my revenue or my cash per call or my cash per lead? How does one get to that place in terms of like really dialing in their offer, making sure they're tracking the right things? Like walk me through steps 0 to 10 to get to a place of like being able to base all of their calculations on
something reasonable
metric.
Yeah. And so if you have a bunch of raw back data that you've like done some level of tracking with, you make a decision around, do we want to backdate tracking and how close do we think we can get it, right? If you have absolutely nothing in place, it's start now. And you have to understand that the feedback loop here is long. Like your month 1 data isn't that telling. No. 2 months of data, a little bit more telling. 3 months of data, a little bit more telling. 6 months of data, pretty fucking accurate to make decisions on the next 6 months.
Not including or not accounting for black swans. You
totally
actually have something.
It's like something could come in and just like delete that sheet effectively. And like, that's going to happen. Right. But it's like, I think what also stops a lot of business owners from trying to dial in what they have is that they're like, we have all this old data and it's so confusing. Right. And so for example, Matt does our bookkeeping and accounting at the Content Factory. And it was a business that was really messy for about 18 months. And when he came in, it was just like, there was so much raw data and he was like, do we want to go back and effectively rebuild all of this, right? It's going to cost you more money to do so. It's going to take way more time to get to clarity. And it was just like, no, you have to make a decision around like, what's it worth me? I was like, look, just backdate 6 months. Backdate 6 months. Let's look at what we have and let's do a better job of tracking from this point forward. And then we will continue to iterate the process, right? And it's like, after a year of working with Matt, it's like I love our calls at the end of the month because we close the books out. We have really clear numbers. He does a tremendous job. And now we're graduating into a point where Matt and I are like adding more sophistication to what we're doing and how we're tracking things to produce new metrics that can give us better insight. But there was a time where we just straight up weren't ready for those metrics, and it's not that they weren't important, but it's like we weren't at a place to even do anything with them. Like we were too overwhelmed by other more important things. But now it's like we're looking to optimize margin and trying to understand how much time is being spent on different clients. And it's like we can do all of this through good tagging and tracking. But it's like these are metrics that like most business owners starting out, people who consume content like this, never have to even really fuck around with. It's like they're trying to get their baselines dialed in. But you reach a point in business where you really have to start making different decisions. Like I had a conversation with my business partner there where I was like, look, we're at the point now where we need to start firing clients. Let's say we have 5 clients paying us $5,000 a month on retainer, right? I'm like, 2 of these clients are taking twice as much time and energy from the team. They're bringing morale down because they're a fucking headache. When they send a message, we literally all get stressed out. We don't know what problem they're going to be bringing that isn't even our fucking fault. And it's like
the results are probably half as good as everybody else.
Half as good. And it's like they're paying, because they're a fucking nightmare and like don't do the process anyways. And I was like, dude, like, I get it. Like saying no to revenue is scary. But I was like, we don't have an acquisition problem. These 2 clients that have been costing us double than the other 3 clients in that bucket, like they literally cost us twice as much and they make our quality of life shit. We don't have an acquisition problem. We can replace this $10,000 a month in recurring in the next week. And we need to start being strict around what clients we keep on and what clients we fire. Because like any of us who have ever worked in service business at like an agency or coaching level, we know that clients can be fucked. No matter how good you do, they'll never give you, like they'll never thank you, they'll never do their fucking job, and they'll always blame you.
And they'll probably actually cost you a lot of money.
100%.
How do you feel about, because like there's a position of luxury of being able to say like, okay, we have A clients, B clients, C clients. Let's fire the C clients. Let's delegate the B clients. Let's play our favorites.
Sure.
But that's a position of luxury, right? To have that level of opportunity. And I think there's a lot of people in the coaching space and on the online marketing side where like the narrative is like, just get started and just get the deal. Or like the beggars can't be choosers kind of mentality. How do you address that to the person with low to no opportunity currently in front of them? They get an opportunity that they're aware it's not ideal.
I agree. I agree with it. I actually think the coaching space is way too guilty of telling people that like that's not their task. They should delegate that. They should not take XYZ type of client that's out of alignment. I think the coaching space is way too floaty about shit like that. And like, they don't actually fucking understand. It's like, you're starting out. I think you're going to eat some shit. And it's like, if you've got a terrible client that's $5,000 a month right now, but like that $5,000 a month is your margin to grow. It's like, you eat the shit, period. Otherwise you're going to get fucking stuck. I don't think that like some coaches would just be like, live in abundance, you'll replace them. It's like, fuck you, dude. Like that's terrible advice.
Bills are due.
Bills are due. And it's like, even if we're breaking even on like 15 grand a month and we're making 20, it's like, what the fuck are we supposed to grow on? You know what I mean? Like cash flow fucking matters and you need to spend money to grow businesses, period. And I think any intangible talk around what you should do or talks from abundance or any of this other spiritual theater that has corrupted the business space online, I think it's trash. And I think that those people should be fucking fired.
It's you have to appreciate what suboptimal looks like. And this whole like everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows is simply not true. And I think, I really appreciate people in the military, and I have a good amount of friends that have been through the military, are actively in the military, and like they understand what it's like to be in a fucked situation where nothing is going right. There's absolutely no hope of success, and yet still we're going to make the most out of the situation. Beggars can't be choosers, and we're going to duct tape the Humvee back together, and we're going to get home. Versus like, oh, I have this client that texts me twice a day instead of once a week, like we agreed on contract. Boo-hoo. Like, what are we going to do about it? And I'm super guilty of this recently in my life. Like, I think I've gotten the 100 miler is such a perfect anchor point, like a reality anchor of like just not being committed to showing up on time, being reliable, communicating with clients, where it's like, oh, it's this client's fault, or like, oh, like they shouldn't, be upset about this because it's not our responsibility. And there's a reality where it's like, boo-hoo, what else am I going to do right now? Like,
yeah, there is a reset point and like a reacclimation period when you go from like winning at such a high level and getting comfortable with having team under you and people to handle problems, and you start over, whether it be in a new industry or just period. It's like mentally resetting to like, oh, I don't have the luxury. Like I'm carrying around more entitlement than I should. That fucking happens. And like, you truly have to just get back down on the ground and be like, no, we're building from the ground up. And like, that means I've got to eat some shit. And like, so be it. It means I have to over deliver a little bit. It means I have to do some shit that is outside of scope. Right. Because it's like, dude, even at the end of the day, even now, at any business that I run, like, we're relationship people in a lot of ways. If, one of our clients needs a little extra help on something, like, we're going to do our best to create that. If it's something that ends up way outside of scope and feels abusive or is costing us too much money, then like whatever. But I think people are really rigid on a lot of things. And I think it hurts LTV big time in a way that you can't really quantify.
Because then it becomes like in a lot of ways, it becomes transactional in nature.
It becomes too transactional. Yeah. Right. Yeah, which it's like we're all engaging in transactions inside of business, but like, dude, okay, also it's like you're never going to perfectly show up. Your team's like, it's like, dude, even if I'm showing up at a super high level and we're developing new processes and I'm doing the best job I can with culture, my team's going to fuck up sometimes, right? And it's like, it's way easier to go to a client and say, hey, our team fucked this up. We own it,
this is what we're going to do about it.
Yeah, this is what we're going to do about it to avoid it in the future. Can we move on? Without the client asking to cancel or for a refund or for some sort of financial compensation. It's like, when you have made some deposits with them, they're way more comfortable being like, I get it. Yep. You know what I mean? I'm also running a business. Shit happens, right? And the same. I was coaching a client yesterday. The same, who's like really trying to build an agency from the ground up right now, and thinking he like for the first time started thinking really big. And I'm like, yo, you have to establish culture here from the get go, right? And you need to pour into your fucking people, and you need to show them that you guys are going to build something big, because otherwise, like, we were specifically speaking about overseas editors, right? And it's like, he was like, my guys are just getting super transactional with me, right? He's like, I'm shipping them edits, and then they're just like nickel and diming me over little shit. And I'm like, that's a culture problem, right? It's like, they're going to do that. It's like, you have to build a culture where you pour into your people so much that you can make withdrawals. Yes. It's like, at Wake Up Wealthy, I had literally the strongest internal team culture I've ever fucking seen. Every person on the team rode for the mission. Yes. It wasn't for me. It was like, we were riding for the company. Yes. And it was a lot easier to do because you saw what great work we were doing at the company. But it was just like, asking for more from employees was not hard. And it wasn't that we were trying to abuse them, but we would go through periods where it was like, hey, we have to launch this big change, and it's going to take some extra work from everyone in addition to managing our normal responsibilities. Are we down to ride? Because on the other side of it, we're all going to be able to get paid more. We're going to be able to help more people. We're going to have a better fucking company. And it was just like, without a doubt, every time the answer was yes. And they all were down to do it because, one, I took our core principles and the way that I articulated our culture, and I looped it into every conversation, every meeting. It was literally on every wall in the office. It was like, the mission was the core driving factor for everything.
And it's unavoidable.
It's unavoidable. And it's like, if you are not psyched about that, you're not a fit here.
Yeah.
And when you build a culture like that, like, you can ask your team to fucking ride. And my team all knew that, like, I was going to go harder than them. Nobody was working harder than me on the mission. And whatever I was going to ask of them, I was going to do tenfold. Yes. And because of that, they knew, and they were down to ride. And dude, all of those guys that worked for me at that company went on to build awesome fucking businesses. They're all doing really well now. Some of them crazy well, some of them just like better than they even were with me. And it's like, they're all just better for the time that they spent at Wake Up Wealthy. And it's like, that's fucking awesome. And running a business where you have to fight your team to show up hard or show up just a little bit extra so you guys can get to the next level, it's fucking brutal, dude. It's like, why am I even fucking doing this? paying them feels like shit.
And it's symptomatic. It shows that they're not bought in on the vision. Yep. Like the Bible says, without vision, the people will perish. And what ends up happening is you create a culture where everybody's there because of the paycheck or because of the client or because of the status or whatever, instead of being there because they see opportunity long term, they're developing skills, or they're investing in something that matters to them personally. And so if you don't have that alignment with who they want to be long term, or skills that they want to develop long term, or just an opportunity that they want to have long term, why would they want to show up extra?
They wouldn't, unless it was for a little bit more money, which you don't always have the freedom and the luxury to do. And it's like, I was literally saying this on a call this morning. Compensation is not always financial. Like, you can show up and reward people and incentivize people in so many ways that is not just financial, right? With opportunity, with praise. It's like, people will go way harder for a period of time if they know that they are going to build better relationships, they are going to get better as a human, they are going to develop skills that will allow them to do better in the future, right? It's like, I was advising someone this morning, and the situation that they were dealing with, they were like, basically, one of our lead sales reps wants to go out and build a sales education offer, and it's going to take away from things here, you know, and they're great. They should do that. That is the right path for them, but I don't know how to like have them do both. And I was like, look, I'm like super entrenched in this business. I'm like, look, this person is great, and absolutely, I think they should be doing that. Could that person go and make 20 to 50K a month doing that right now? Yes. But the way that we position it to them is we look at them and we say, hey, give me one more year. We're about to go through a huge growth phase. Give me one more year. Let me teach you everything that I fucking know. Let me bring you into every area of the business. Let's build this into an operation that will run itself inside of your role. And then at the end of it, we will transition someone in. We will develop all the processes together. You will learn what it's like to run a $500,000 a month company, and you will be so fucking ready to go out on your own that it's insane. Versus right now, going out and doing it on your own 6 months from now, it's like, give me an extra 6 months.
Yes.
You will learn everything that you need to, and then I will give you my full support to go out and do it. I will let you sell my clients. We will work out some sort of mutually beneficial agreement. But it's like, you're not ready to go do $250K a month. Can you go do 50? Yes. But I will shorten your ramp to $250,000 a month when you go out on your own if you just give me your full attention for an additional 6 months.
Because what you do is you create an opportunity inside the company big enough, whether it's skills or financial, that they don't need to go seek opportunity elsewhere.
Yes. And when you just like, when you say, and you're not fighting them too, you're like, I think this is the right move for you. Yes. I think that, 5 years from now, if you spend an extra 6 months with me, you will be way farther, and it's like, just buckle down with me and let's do this. And I will teach you fucking everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're going to say, they haven't presented all that to him yet, but they're going to say yes. It is a better deal. It is a better deal for them. It's a better deal for the company. It's a win-win. It's aligning both of their goals. And none of that has to do with increased compensation. Yes. It has a lot to do with more work, more learning, more pain, more struggle,
skills, more opportunity.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And just the process of getting there is going to be more work.
Yes.
Right. But it's like
is it worth it?
Yeah, the multiplicative value on the end is insane.
Yes.
Right? But it's like people really they get boxed in and thinking about what they can offer people strictly from a financial sense.
And I think a lot of the reason people box themselves in is because they have also lost sight of how big the opportunity is.
They don't have vision.
Yes. And so it's like, when I don't have vision for where I'm going and what I want to do, the only thing I can offer you is money.
Yes.
And it's when I recognize the skills that we're developing, the opportunities we have that we're harnessing, and the future of where we're going, I can actually enroll someone else in that.
Absolutely.
But when I lack that vision, how the hell could I ever sell that to anybody else?
Yeah, you can't, right? No. You can't give something away that you do not possess.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Period. I am not my best version of myself unless I am getting what's in my mind out. It's like, there is so much in my mind from just like a raw data and framework perspective. And it was like, the only thing that I could do over the last 2 years, I mean, I was like barely working. It was like, I would just sit down and I would research every night wherever my curiosity would take me. And then I would essentially write like a little essay. And I've got probably 30 just like 2,000 to 4,000 word essays, just like stored somewhere. I've posted a couple on Substack, but
you mostly keep them hidden.
Yeah, I'll like drop them, and they're just on such random topics, you know, mostly from like a ethical and philosophical lens. But I also wrote a book this year. It's a personal development book. I never thought that I would write a personal development book. I was just like kind of against the idea.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, there's nothing new to say. And even though I've been a huge name in the world of personal development, I just don't think it's necessary or appropriate. I had always assumed that the first book I wrote would be on religion.
Huh.
And yeah, I like had this breakthrough on something that I had been trying to figure out about myself whenever I was speaking with Kendall. And I was like, holy fuck, there it is. That's the thing I've been trying to figure out for 3 years. I've been trying to answer this question. And within like 3 weeks, I had written like 35,000 words. And yeah, then just like finished it out and am now going to go through the process of publishing. But the book is called Storyless. And Storyless. And basically the book is a method for how to approach hard things. And I think, like we were talking about, the best way to navigate real chaos and challenge in your life is to approach it from the most objective point of reality that you can. Humans naturally create story around everything. You know, the way, like the example that I always use is like your girlfriend or your boss text you and they're like, we need to talk. Immediately your mind starts creating an infinite number of narratives, all negative, around what could be going on. Are we breaking up? Am I getting fired? What did I do? You're looking for all these things that you did. And you come to find out that it was just like something small or nothing at all. Right. And it's like the amount of stress that you endured, the amount of like chaos that you were experiencing there momentarily, it is all going to compound over time. Right. It's like the amount of stories that you tell, in my belief, will drastically shorten your lifespan and reduce the quality of your life because you're going to take on so much more stress. And it is also not a good practice for engaging in problems. Yeah. If you want to solve things, you have to look at them as clearly as you can, how they exist in reality. And what do? We apply all our stories and all our conditioning and everything that is our unique lens onto everything that we do. And I think that it is what causes people to get stuck. I think it is what causes people to make bad moves. I think it is what causes people to not be able to navigate things quickly, right? Something bad happens. We got zeroed out. We start telling ourselves all these stories of what it means about us. The shortest path back would have just been to understand what is the next right move and to do it, right? And if we could have isolated ourselves there, we could have done it with experiencing a lot less pain, a lot less downtime, a lot less confusion, and overall the path back would have been a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And so basically the book is kind of a journey through me coming to this understanding. And it was something that I, in a lot of ways, I was doing innately, not when everything zeroed out.
Right.
And what was interesting is like, so I'd always seemingly been able to carry a lot more than everyone else I knew. I was just known as a strong fucking dude. And I was way more resilient. Didn't matter what you threw at me. I was just down to fucking get after it. And I was like, look, like, yeah, I'm a strong guy. But there are lots of strong men out there. You know, I don't think that I have some level of mental strength that is astronomically higher than everyone else.
Right. You're not God's favorite.
I'm not God's favorite. Right. And I was like, so there's something that I'm doing procedurally that allows me to cut through the water a little bit better than everyone else. And I hadn't been able to figure it out. And finally it clicked. I was just like, I'm not adding narrative to anything that comes up or the decisions that I make.
To situations, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I am not engaging in a ton of extra narrative. I just look at what are we looking at and what do we do? And I keep it really fucking simple. And so the book is a few parts, right? It's like the first is the story problem. There's a handful of chapters in there talking about evolutionary, like from an evolutionary perspective, why did stories come online, right? In a big way to protect us, right? In the same way ego came online, right? Oh, it's dark over there. We don't go there. It's scary, right? Fire, hot, like we don't like that. You know what I mean? Like things like that. And talking about how that developed over time. Then in part 2, I really go into, all of the other modalities in the world that people use to try to heal themselves and to navigate things better, looking at normal cognitive behavioral therapy, NLP, looking at the spiritual sides of things that people do. And basically went through 10 or 12 different modalities and just gave an honest feedback of like where they were great and where they experienced limitation. And, some of them are really good tools, but I didn't feel that there was anything that was comprehensive that didn't create problems of its own.
Yep.
And so I went through that for a while. And then part 3, getting into the story method of like, here's functionally how it works. And then in part 4, like how to live this as a day-to-day practice. And I'm really excited for it to come out in like a year or so. I'm really excited to get it in some people's hands. It's not going to be a book that I super attach to my personal brand. I just want to give it, if I'm going to do this personal development book thing, I want to give it a chance to stand on its own. I have no expectation around it. If it flops, cool. If it just never gets seen, okay.
Yeah.
But I think that it has an opportunity to help a bunch of people. And, when I was going through a really dark time and I couldn't move, what confused me the most was that I was a guy who had seemingly built a lot of tools to navigate things like this. I had helped thousands of people navigate hard things. And I had this really robust toolkit and I couldn't get the toolbox open.
Yeah.
I couldn't access any of my tools. And so having that little breakthrough moment allowed me to kind of open the toolbox. And I was engaging so much and taking advice from a past version of myself that felt so different from who I was sitting as in that moment. And so it was this really heady, confusing experience that like, I can't imagine many people have written a book from this state where it was like, I was engaging with a past version of myself to learn from him, to navigate what I was going through currently. It was a whole fucking wild experience, but the end result was a story and a methodology that is really cool and not something that I thought I would ever do, and I think can really help a lot.
That's super exciting. I can't wait for the book to come out. How did you open the toolbox?
Understanding that piece about myself, I don't know if it was because it gave me better understanding of some of my gifts and I just got to have something shine some light on because it was like, it seemed like I was either just in darkness or light was being shown on things that like I hated about myself. Right. And it was like, for a moment, the light got shined on something that I was like, this is really cool about myself. And for some reason, that little moment, it was like, I don't know if it was just seeing it gave me confidence. I don't know if it was the bridge that opened up to my past self, who was really capable and had a lot of tools and was really strong and had a ton of fight in him. I don't know exactly. And I don't even need to figure it out. I'm just glad it fucking happened.
Yeah. I think there's something in, you just did something totally different.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting because I relate to you a lot in this way. For the past kind of 2 years since I left the business and went through this kind of personal crisis, I've been trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So I started hosting this Bible study. The Bible study grew and grew and grew and grew. And to your point, it kind of felt like either I was in the darkness or there's a light being shined on the parts of myself that I hated. Yeah. And I was just suffocating. And I'm like, what the fuck? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I just couldn't. I love that thought of I know I have state of the art. I have the best tools I can access on planet Earth, but they're locked in a toolbox and I don't have the keys. How do I get this toolbox open? And it's there's this desperation.
For sure.
You feel like you're drowning. And you just don't know how to get out. And it's I know that I know how to swim. Yeah. And yet I just can't break the surface. There's something tied around my feet and
or it's I've been swimming for years. Yes. It's you're just gonna get tired.
Yeah. And it's what do I do? And it's interesting because kind of similarly, I had this breakthrough. One of my buddies, Brad Lancaster, has a YouTube channel called Discover Connection. And so I'm hosting this Bible study, and the past 2 years, I'm really just in this pit of darkness and I don't know where to go. And go to God and all these different things. And Brad we met at the Bible study. So something really good comes out of this thing that was like really hard to create. And it was like the beautiful suffering of like having something that I built that I felt trapped in. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And how am I going to navigate this? And Brad says, he goes, hey, do you want to come do a YouTube video with me? And I've never done a YouTube video, and he's 1.some million subscribers. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is a big thing, but it's totally unrelated to business, personal brand. It's totally unrelated to scaling a social media or running an agency. It's like this, it's somewhat related, but not really.
Not really,
It's tangential.
And I don't feel super ready.
And I don't feel super ready, and I don't see how this is going to impact any other area of my life. In fact, it almost seems like a distraction.
Sure.
But there's just something where I was like, you know what, let's run it. And so for like 3 weeks, we just ripped this YouTube video, and we ended up doing this YouTube video in Hawaii. We actually shot 2 videos in Hawaii, and they turned out really great. And the thing that I did not anticipate to happen is it showed me this part of myself of like, that former capable self, and that outgoing and loving and reliable and connected and just caring human being. It reminded me of the parts of myself that I think I had forgotten or that had gotten buried. And it was like just enough hope, just enough wind in my sail to like show up a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And it's like, oh, there's something there. And whether those YouTube videos performed well or not is regardless.
It was like, who cares? Yeah.
Who cares? Like the win was getting out there and just getting the thing done. And then it's like, oh, if that impacts people, that's amazing. And I would love for it too. And that'd be an honor. And also selfishly, just going through that process allowed me to unlock something that I think I had forgotten.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. You with the book, me with the YouTube video. And then it's like, okay, that win almost allows you to like snap back into reality.
For sure.
And also like the other side of it, which is interesting, is like not getting consumed by that thing, right? It's like just because you wrote the one book and it's like kind of brought this back to life in you, it's not like you're going to spend the rest of your life writing books.
No, side quests are fine.
Yeah. And I think actually the side quest is like almost where it's better to be.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people in my social circle, I've seen like they'll get into something like ultra marathoning or psychedelics or religion. And it's the side quest. It's the thing that allows them to remember who they are.
Yep.
And then it just consumes them. Like Brad is like, hey, do you want to do another YouTube video? And I'm like, actually, I think I need to like, thank you.
Yeah.
Versus I'm going to go do 17 more ayahuasca trips. So I'm going to make this my whole personality.
Well, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with identity. It's like identity should not be wrapped into the thing that you're doing.
Yeah. And it's like,
because that's exactly what happens.
Right. And it's like the thing that brought you hope and brought you momentum does not need to be the thing that you are. It can just be the reminder that you are capable and that you can do things.
Yeah, I think that's a trap people get caught in a lot, right? They do something that has a positive impact or feels good, and they're like, okay, this is the new path. It's like, no, sometimes that was just the mirror to get you back on the path. And I think that people get very confused by that a lot, and they end up spending years of their life down a rabbit hole that goes nowhere.
Because it brought a good result. It's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, it's like in a vacuum, like I understand the decision.
Yeah.
Logically.
Yeah.
But it's like life doesn't always work that way.
And it's like, okay, let's actually, the side quests may have been inherently positive and like have a huge ROI short term, but is it going to be the thing that plays out over the rest of your life? And is this the thing that you actually want to be?
Yeah. And it's like, not everything that's good is good in excess.
My dad used to tell me, and my dad still tells me, everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you just have to side quest max, like doing an ultra or writing a book or whatever it is. And then also that doesn't need to be the thing all the time. It's like I can go to the extreme every once in a while and go do these crazy side quests, and that should not be the thing that is consistent, because moderation is primarily where I want to be. I want to be focused, and I want to have my long-term vision and my goals and execute on that. And also when I'm depleted on that, maybe I do need to swing to an extreme and I need to kind of hit for something new.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like that is like side quests have refueled me and refilled me and, removed the veil and allowed me to see the vision again. It's like sometimes you're charging your path and you're in a storm and it's so hard to see forward. It's fucking pouring rain and there are clouds and it's like, hey, let's just go over here for a little bit outside of the storm. And then it's like, you get to be over here and you see, it's like, okay, even if I enter in right back here, I can see that the storm's over at this point, right? Or I could just go around. It's like there are so many different things that can happen there when you just get outside of the mess for a moment.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, this is dichotomous because I'll also tell you too, like sometimes the only way through a storm is literally one foot in front of the other until it lifts.
Yeah.
And it's like life is confusing and dichotomous and counterintuitive in that way. It's like both of those are right answers sometimes.
Yeah. It's like the side questing can be a relief as much as it can be escapism.
100%.
And so everything's a double-edged sword. I think it was Aristotle who posed that like every principle or virtue of life has a negative extreme in both directions.
Yes.
And so where like courage would be like the middle path, you might have cowardice on one side, but you also might have recklessness on the other side.
For sure.
And so it's like there's a moment in life to be reckless. There's a moment in life to be a coward. But most of the time, being courageous is the right answer.
Yeah.
And not losing sight of all three of those options at any point.
Yeah, like, dude, building a real understanding of just like what each thing means. It's like why I've spent so much of my life obsessed with and engaging in philosophy, because it's like being able to understand the full scope of everything just gives you way more wisdom on the front end without having experienced it to be able to make decisions. Like the thing that we are all seeking isn't knowledge. It's not growth. Like it's wisdom to understand how to navigate. And most people could be way more wise by just slowing down and thinking about what each individual thing means, right? Yeah. What is the extreme of this and what is the opposite of that? And like, where is the middle point? What are the pros and cons of living over here in the middle and over here? It's like, that takes like 5 minutes to really think through, and people don't do that.
Yeah, because it's like those 5 minutes are more overwhelming than 5 years of blinding.
100%. They are quite overwhelming sometimes. But it's like, yes, it's like if people really just, like I've always said, the thing that I think is most beautiful about myself is my curiosity. It's like I am genuinely curious. I want to understand as much as I can possibly understand at that moment, whether it's about a person or about a subject. It's like I could sit down and follow information and think about that information and be pretty fucking happy seemingly indefinitely. Yeah. Right. And
at least up until now.
Yeah. And it hasn't failed to give me a good time yet.
Yeah.
And it has always made me feel really distant from other people because I don't see people engage in it very often, and obviously there are people who do. Like I sit down with you, I sit down with Arlen. It's like we not only take time to consider, but we consider what we're considering, right? Like we engage in some level of metacognition, which is honestly the coolest and most beautiful thing about what it means to be human. And I think that a really small percentage of people are regularly engaging in a level of metacognition. One simple idea that I used to tell to my entire coaching container all the time was just think about what you think about.
Come on. Yeah. It's the philosophical bodybuilding.
Yes.
It's the best muscle to lift.
Yeah.
It's so special. Brodie, what would you say is the main quest right now in your life? Like, what's the kind of North Star that you're chugging away at?
God, that's such a hard question. If I isolate into certain areas of life, I kind of have some main quests, but I truly think after the last 2 years that I went through, like my main quest doesn't really extend beyond showing up and adhering to the person that I want to be as closely as possible on a day-to-day basis and trusting that that will produce outcomes that I want. If we talk about in business, it's like I have a couple companies that I want to sell in my 30s. Like my goal is to, in my 30s, have 2 or 3 exits that in me at a point where I'm at that like inertia point, right? So you talk to every super wealthy individual, they're like, basically, once you have 35 million 25 to 35 million earning, it's like, it's all cake from there. It's just sport after that, and I spent all of my 20s working insanely hard. It was fun. I developed the skills. I developed the knowledge. I didn't necessarily get as far as I thought I would be because it all came crashing down, but it was like I got it back way faster. And I know what I can do. And I now see that I can play much bigger. And it's like this decade, I want to sell 2 or 3 companies, get to that inertia point, and be at a point where I only engage in things that are really fucking exciting. You know, and I also have aspirations to, you know, spend my 40s engaging in politics and nonprofits and trying to create a bigger change in the world. And the ticket price to go play games like that is quite high. Yep. And so I want to be able to get there, you know, and I want to go focus on other endeavors that can have a larger impact. I want to get more of my ideas out into the world. I'm crazy enough to think that they can be quite valuable at times. And I have a lot of good reinforcing evidence of that, you know? And so it's like, I want to continue to grow as an individual. I want to continue to share my gifts with the world, whatever that may look like. And I want to be able to say that at the end of the day, I feel that the world was better because I was here. And that is a really large goal, to be able to actually say that. And whether that's through ripple effect or anything else, or like direct effect, I don't care. I just want to be able to lay down at the end of my life and say that, you know, and I want to be able to have these big aspirations and these big goals, and I want to go and achieve these things. And simultaneously, I want my 2 sons to be able to say, my dad was there every day. He was present. He was with me. He was at every game. He was at every event. And I never felt disconnected from him because of what he did in his career. And like, if I can do those things, I'm pretty fucking happy. Even if I did nothing and my kids feel that, I'll probably be pretty fucking happy. It's like, I just want to show up and be the best that I can be and have people be like, that was helpful and fun. And I enjoyed that.
Life gives to the giver.
Totally. Hopefully.
Yeah. And maybe we won't find out until we die.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the goal though. I love that you mentioned that your sons and the presence for your children, because that is like the ultimate. It's, I think, the most simple ripple effect that we can create is leading by example within our family.
Yeah.
It's like, I might not have any money. I might be in terrible shape. I might be physically handicapped, whatever. I know that I can be there for my kids.
Yeah.
And that's square zero.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I have learned some really interesting lessons as a parent in the last year. You know, obviously, I have sons who are 2 and 7 years old. Splitting our family up was not something that we were incredibly excited about doing, but myself, my ex-wife, like, we also saw a path where we thought we would be happier and could show up better for them if we did so. And, you know, because of, it's like I spent my 20s being a sole provider. We had a division of responsibilities. There were a lot of things that were just split up. There were a lot of things with my kids that I did much less of because I was working a bunch and providing, right? They're just things that my ex-wife picked up naturally. And there are so many more things that I have to do now, just little small things, you know, cooking them dinner, giving them a bath, and just taking care of every little thing. You know, being a single parent is quite difficult. I have a lot of respect for people who have to do it, on top of everything else I'm doing in my life. Right. But it's like the amount that my relationship with my sons has grown as a result of being there for all the little things is insane. I did not expect it. I took it for granted. I took the little things for granted. And I didn't understand how much connection could be there. Like, my thing with my kids before it was the 3 of us was like, obviously checking the box of like providing a good life for them and being able to give them experiences. And then a few hours a night, I tried to just be super present with them. It was like bedtime, dinner time. I was just like with them. I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to spend time with them, and it was cool. And it felt like it was enough. I didn't feel like I was dropping the ball. I didn't feel like I was a bad dad. Like, I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. Right. It wasn't until my wife and I ended up divorcing, and I was solo parenting these kids 50% of the time, that I realized how much I was leaving on the table.
Were you justifying that the little things, like those micro moments with your kids, like they didn't matter, or as long as you do these main things, it's like you can get away with not being present for the game or the event? Or
yeah, I mean, games and events, I would always there were still things like that, but it's little things like cooking them dinner, giving them a bath, picking them up from school. I always dropped them off at school, but picking them up from school, it's just all of the little necessary shit, having to put thought into what are we going to do this weekend to keep them entertained. I would, my wife would handle all those things previously, and I would still go to those things and be present for those things. But it's even just the beauty in having to orchestrate that experience and thinking about what can I really do to give them a fun time this weekend, right? It's the intention of what you put into it that I was leaving on the table, right? I was still there. I was checking all the boxes. I was still present, but it was like I wasn't orchestrating it. And when you were responsible for the intention, it makes it all so much better and so much more rewarding. I saw some of those things as chores, right? And
it just becomes another event on your calendar.
Totally. And it's like when you are the one with the idea and making it happen and then facilitating it and just being responsible for it, A to Z, it's like there's a lot of beauty there that I was leaving on the table, and I never understood it, and I wish that I did.
I was in the shower the other day, and I had a shower thought that I was like, oh, I'm going to save that one. Like, no, I'll double click and save that one in the folder. That emulation is not the same as intention. And I've noticed that a lot in my own life. Like, I'll go through the motions of even like getting ready, getting dressed, all these different things in our life that we do because everybody else does them. And of course we're supposed to do it. Like even simple things, like I notice like how I shower, like whether I wash my face or my hair or my body, and like what I'm doing in these things. Like, am I doing it just because that's what I think I need to be doing? Or am I doing it with an intention to clean myself, to be prepared for the day, to be ready at the end of the day, whatever it is. And I've started to really think about this of like emulation is not the same as intention, and how a lot of the time the Bible tells us to be sober in all things. And a lot of people take that be sober in all things as, okay, I can't drink, I can't smoke, I can't whatever.
Sure.
And the word sober actually more closely translates not from a place of substance or like that of like caffeine or anything else.
The Bible talks about sober in a much different sense than the way we use the word now.
Yes, and sober in a place of sincere or serious or intentional about something. And so then it's like even these micro little moments, like giving your sons a bath. It's like, can I be sober in this? Can I be intentional about like, not just like, oh, am I washing my kid because I need to wash my kid? Emulation. Am I washing my kid because he's a young man who's going to become something and he gets to be clean and professional and show up in a way that he's proud of and that he feels good about? And that's a completely different energy than this is just another box to check in my day.
For sure.
And it's, like just working through these things of even in just moment to moment of like on this video or this podcast.
Totally.
It's like, okay, can I show up at the most sincere, most severe, most serious version? Not in a way of like being monotone or being stagnant and being uninteresting, but in a level of like, can I make this the most impactful and important thing that I could be doing right now, and really look at it from that lens?
Yeah. And I think, dude, it's like, I think also people show up for podcasts with it, like, and they think that they're being intentional and they've prepped a lot, and it's like their goal is to be interesting when the goal is to be interested.
Yes.
Like that is what makes a great pod and a great conversation and a great interaction, is like being interested, not interesting.
It's that, I love that saying, if you want a friend, to be a friend.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing of like the curiosity is the superpower.
100%.
And we flock to it, where it's like the spotlight is most attractive shown on someone who is more interested in shining it on other people than the spotlight being shown on the person that wants it.
Yeah. And dude, people struggle so much in connecting with other people. It's like, you just have to everybody is passionate about something, right? And it may be something totally different than you, but you should be interested in passion, not interested in what it is. It's like when you find someone passionate about literally anything, I don't care what it is, like it's fucking exciting watching someone talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it can be something totally different than what you're excited about. But that is what fires me up, is seeing people engage in something and talk about something that they love. Yeah. That's always fucking fun. It's way more fun than talking about yourself.
It's interesting too of like finding, I love when, to your point of like finding something that's important to someone.
Yeah.
Like watching them just like kind of like spool up in excitement about this thing that it's like finding significance for other people is like one of the most special things on planet Earth. And actually to your point of like what you've done with coaching and Wake Up Wealthy and everything throughout your career, actually helping guide someone to discover something significant to them is arguably selfishly one of the most rewarding things you can experience.
For sure.
Is like sharing something significant where they're like, oh my gosh, this is something that's significant to me. Yeah. And it's one of the most sad things to me watching people share that significance or get wound up about something where it's just regurgitation. And we see this a lot in like social media influencing, or like a lot in like the spiritual space, a lot in the political space, where people get really passionate about a political argument or a spiritual perspective or a social media strategy, when it's just regurgitation of someone else's information.
For sure.
And it's like, dude, you have all of the enthusiasm, all of the passion that would come from intention, but it's being expressed through emulation. Yeah. And it's like, you're not thinking for yourself.
You're borrowing the excitement and enthusiasm.
Yeah. And so the question I would have for you then is, how does one discover what they actually care about instead of just borrowing the passion from someone else? Because we see a talking head on social media or on TV, on the news, and we're like, oh, they're passionate about it. Clearly, I need to be passionate about it. And it rubs off, right? Because we have mirror neurons, and that's how we work as humans, is we see someone being passionate, and we go, wow, I can be passionate too. Let me be passionate about the same thing. How do you actually navigate moving that passion from borrowing it from someone else or emulating it and actually creating it in your own?
Yeah, so there are a number of variables, the way that I see it, that go into really establishing not only what lights you up, but what you should feed. And it's like, yeah, just because someone else is jacked up about something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be. Just because someone else is excited about something and it also excites you doesn't mean that that's what you should be feeding. It's like, there's a level of self-awareness required to truly get into that like razor's edge of alignment on anything between like passion and action and the longevity that exists in your tank. And you have to like truly understand, like, okay, am I feeling excited right now, and be able to discern, why am I feeling excited? Is it contagious, or is there something within me that is fed by this? And then is this something that I want to feed? And to kind of find what you love in this world, you have to rapidly test a lot of things and see how you feel in those moments as you're experiencing those things. And you have to really then understand, what is it about this that I am experiencing? And it's like over time you go to build a better understanding of what it is that you love and want to spend your time doing.
The Bible says, by your fruits you will know them. And I for years and years and years, since I was probably 18 years old, I've been thinking about my mind like a garden. And how like the weeds, if you don't maintain your garden, weeds happen no matter what.
Yep.
But then like plants, you need to water. And then also certain plants only thrive in certain soils and certain environments and different climates.
Yeah.
And so it's like this whole realization of like, okay, someone might be passionate about this thing, but actually based on my soil and based on my climate, that won't foster in this environment. Or that's not fruit that I need. It's like, I already have red grapes. I don't also need green grapes in my garden. That, although that's awesome and I love that, maybe I need to shift my attention somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good way to look at it, and understanding that like the functional nature of the garden may change over time.
Yes, and it always does, actually, every day. Yeah. And that's even in like renewable farming, of like you have to move crops, or you have to rotate your crops into different fields, because if you just always farm wheat in the same field,
you pillage the soil.
Yes, you deplete the soil, and now there's nothing left. And now you only have topsoil, and there's no actual roots, and there's nothing that can actually bear long-term fruit. It's not sustainable. You mentioned that you were considering launching a new offer.
Yes.
Building something new. What does that look like, and what's exciting?
So I have gone through a million different things that I think that I am one of the best to teach at. Look, I think I'm just flat out. I think I'm a great business consultant. I don't think anyone does a better job of truly understanding the nuance of what's going on with an entrepreneur and their business and mapping the right solutions onto that at that time. I think a lot of people who engage in business coaching and consulting have a lot of right solutions, and they have no understanding of when the right time is. You know, I watch so many people come to me and they're like, you know, this person's telling me this person's telling me this, you know, XYZ. And I'm like, they're technically not wrong, but for this, and this reason, these are the things that would need to happen first, or this is why it's not the right time, or whatever. Like, and everybody's out here giving the right advice, and no one's out here, like, what is actually required is right advice and right time. Yeah.
Timing is actually infinitely more important than application.
100%. And so it's like, look, I think I'm a great business consultant. I think I have a tremendous gift for strategic thinking and problem solving. And like, you sit me down in a room and it's like, we're going to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to abuse you with questions. It's going to feel abusive, you know, but it's like, at the end of this, we're going to have a real game plan here, you know, and I love solving hard problems. I love being stimulated. I love being challenged. I love working on things like that. And I do a lot of that, but there is one thing that, like, I've never met someone who has been as good at me at, and that is getting people to take action on change, on themselves, in their businesses. I am just incredibly good at getting people to move now. And I don't see anyone doing it. There's not any person working with men at a significant level right now since I left the game. And I just feel guilty in a way. And of like, no one picked up the torch I thought they would. And I feel ready. I feel that the lessons from the last 2 years of my life are incredibly powerful. I think it was the most transformative period of my life, which is saying a lot considering the things that I've been through over the last 15 years. And I just keep feeling a pull on my heart to make an entry back in some way. I don't need it to be huge. I just need to be pouring into people more than I am. And solving business problems is great. There will obviously be a level of that wrapped into the offer, but it's like, I need to be pouring into people again, and I need to be doing so in a significant way. And that's what's been missing from the last 2 years of my life, because I had nothing in my cup to pour. And now that I have rebuilt myself, not back to my old self, but to an evolved version of that, it's like, I have some overflow to give.
Yeah,
and
the cup gets to overflow once again.
Yeah. And not only that, but it was like, there are a few people who are as good at doing it as I am in this world. And
have you seen anybody try in the past couple of years?
I've seen people try, for sure. People have tried to do the men's thing. And when I was really running, people tried to do what I did a lot. And for reasons I don't particularly know, they just didn't have it. You know, they just didn't have that thing. There's something about me where when you put me in front of someone and they're experiencing real pain, I can cut through to the things that matter, the emotional triggers, to their fucking heart, and they'll never be the same after that conversation. It's like, if someone is not showing up for themselves, if they are really not showing up as who they could be and as who they deserve to be and as who they were born to become, I have a way of getting people to snap out of it that I have never seen before. And I have not been doing any of it, and it doesn't seem like anyone else has either.
Has anybody gotten close?
I mean, there are people older than me. There are the people who paved the path for me, yes. People who just had the gift and built it, you know, Tony Robbins. They're like, everybody. There are people who came before me, yes. I have not seen many people come after me who do things in the way that I did, with the type of energy that I did, you know. And like, look, I'm just not the right guy for women. You know what I mean? I'm going to shake you. Like, but I'm all like, in my high energy, in my fucking sometimes yelling at you, like, you will feel more love than you feel from anyone else, you know? And there are people who are helping a lot of people in the spiritual realm and in a softer way. But there is a specific type of man who just needs to be shook by me to snap out of it. And that's what I have learned. Like there's a version of me that I step into that just channels shit. You know, like when I am giving a speech in front of a bunch of men, talking to them about getting better in their fucking lives, being better guys, better fathers, better partners, and truly betting on themselves to build, like I tap into some other wealth of knowledge and energy and clarity that seemingly doesn't exist any other time. But when you put me in that container, I go silent mentally. There has not been a speech that I have given in a context like that I remember. Actually. And it's like, I miss that. I miss being in touch with whatever that is. And I miss what I watch happen as a result of people receiving that. But it's like, yeah, I haven't prepared a single speech, a single coaching call, a single anything in 6 years. Wow. I show up, I let myself get silent, and I just tap in.
A lot of people would say that's God.
A lot of people would.
What kind of man do you see needing the most support in this way right now?
There's a lot of men that fit the bucket, but it's the person who right now knows that they are capable of more, of something big. They know that they were meant to be better than what they're showing up as in this moment. It's like, that is the type of guy at the type of time in their life where they should encounter me, even momentarily. It's like, that is always the time, you know. There is a time when people need to encounter me, and it's when they know that they are not showing up the way that they should, and not just and I'm not making it to the gym, not just I'm not hitting all of my non-negotiables, but truly like my life feels off course. I don't particularly know why, or if I do know why, I don't know how to get back. But I know that this isn't where I'm supposed to be. That is where people are supposed to meet me, I believe.
How do you go about that conversation? Let's say I'm in that situation where I'm like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be, but I know that I'm not right now.
There are so many things and exercises that you have to take them through. But it's like, sometimes it's a moment and it's pushing them to like really see what they want and tap into why it's super important. Like, it's so easy to do for guys that have like kids or a wife, or they want a family, they're on the verge of wanting a family. It's like, that's such an easy heartstring to pull on and get them to move. But with younger guys, it's really interesting, right? And it's really understanding the amount of pain that they've been through, you know, what they think they want out of their life, what's important to them. Is it success? Is it giving back? Is it like what do you actually want your life to be? And, you know, for someone like me at a younger age, it was like money wasn't doing anything for me. You know, I mean, I went from rehab to making like $250,000 a year, and then 400, and then 500 at a really young age, in a really short time after getting out of rehab. And it was like, this isn't doing anything for me. I need to be like giving back to other people. One of the only times that I felt super whole was when I was pouring into other men inside of AA. It was like that little thought that led me to Wake Up Wealthy. But so for someone like me, who is pretty purpose driven and needs to pour into others and has good ideas in their head, it's like, that is the driver a lot for someone like you. You know what I mean? It's like, you clearly, even in your darkest time, brought a ton of people together around this common idea that was like doing a lot for you in the moment and became something big. And it's like, I can only imagine what it's like in the moments when you have 50, 100 people there and just zooming out for a minute and watching everybody engage. It's like, hey, I was able to do something here. Like, yes, I have skills and talent and like something to give, but it was just like, I saw this as a possibility and like, look at it, you know, and to just like truly imagine the ripple effect that is going to come of it, right? It's like when you start, it's like once you see that, it's like, and then like that's the first step, right? Being able to see that of like what is truly possible of me putting in some work.
In the middle of the void.
In the middle of the worst time, right? And then it's like, how else can I create this? How can I create this bigger? Not a Bible study, not like whatever, but just how do I, like the fabric that is connecting all of this is the special thing. It's like whatever energy is moving in between all the people here and you and their future and the present and like all of the limitless potential there, that is something that is impossible to articulate. It is confusing when you feel it, but you just know that that fucking matters. And it's like, once you get a taste of that, it is really hard to do anything else. Nothing else is ever going to feel as good or as right. And when you can start to, it's like, you're never going to have the vision for like, okay, what is the next bigger version of that? But what you can trust is that if you take that and you pour that back into yourself and you show up on a daily basis in a way that continues to elevate you, that your vision is going to elevate your ability to see farther.
You're good if you need to take it.
The fuck, you're good. The vision will get even farther, even broader. And it's like, you just have way more confidence to go out and try new things. You know what I mean? It's like, for you, it's like, dude, you know that feeling super fucking cool. Like I can see it in your eyes when I was talking about it. And it's like, what you need to do is like, what does that look like when you're not doing it from the lowest place in your fucking life? What does it look like when you're doing it from an awesome fucking version of yourself? It's like starting to get clear on that and working towards that and figuring out what contributes to an awesome version of myself. That is kind of the idea like I would be obsessed with right now. What is that? What does something like that look like when I'm doing it from my fullest potential, right? Or my fullest self. And then just continuing to see, hey, how can I bring people together? You clearly have a fucking knack for that.
So I've seen glimpses, right? Of like, I've seen in the darkest moments, like the beauty of like bringing 600 people together for a Bible study and like harnessing that. And then like being I know it's silly, but a Boy Scout leader. And it was like the most magical thing on planet Earth, like leading scouts. Yeah. And throughout my life and building a 26-person team at a company and like having, like I've seen those glimpses. And then also I see like the other potential of like, what would it look like if we were all working towards one synonymous goal? What if we were all working within one vision? And then like the part that I have yet to grasp is like, how do I actually bridge that gap? Because it's like, I know it would be so awesome to have the PayPal mafia equivalent of the ability to bring people together in a way like B-Stud or my Bible study.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to bridge that gap. And I'm like, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. And I mean, so what you do is you just run little mini tests. You guys have done it here in this house in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you look at how other people have done it, but you just like, what you have to do is you have to get around like why I chose men in business out when I started Wake Up Wealthy, outside of the fact that they could afford it. And it was something that like made the financial piece of the machine run. Yeah. Yes. It was like, they seemed like high ripple effect individuals to me. It was like, if I could change one man who would take the ideas to his family, to his business, they took it to their family, he got involved in his community, ripple effect seemed high. Right. And so who are people that you can pour into that have high ripple effect? You know what I mean? Like for me, Arlen, one of the highest ripple effect individuals I've ever poured into. You know, it's just like in a real way. Yeah. Like he has then poured into a ton of people and created a ton of light in this world. And it's like you start by doing little things like that and you watch what they do with the feeling and it continues to feed the inspiration bucket. It continues to send off little light bulbs around shit. I never thought of that, right? Or what could we do together? And you just continue to do that over time. When you get around cool people who have high magnitude, it's like shit just starts to happen. Yeah. You don't need to have the plan in place. You don't need to have all of it in place. It's like, if you continue to do that, the path will reveal itself. It's like, I always have trust in that. Like, if you show up and you pour into the right types of people who are aligned with you and
maximal impact
and have that maximal impact, it's like not only the path, but many paths will reveal themselves, and you decide to charge some of them, right? And sometimes you pull back and go to a different one, but it's like, it's about creating doors and opening those doors. And the only way to do that is to continue to figure out on a daily basis what contributes to me being my best self, and continuing to get out into the world and have those conversations, do those things, which I think you're doing a good job of, right? But it's like, it's like what's happening behind closed doors is seemingly where you've been falling short, right? And so it's like figuring out, hey, what makes me feel the best and the most like myself, and building real consistency and momentum into that, and aligning that with the outward action of connecting with a lot of people. Like, you're going to be able to pour into them at a way higher capacity than you could ever if you weren't showing up for yourself. Yeah. Right. But it's like, show up for yourself, build momentum, show up for other people who are cool and aligned, and everything else will start to figure itself out, I believe.
That's great. Yeah. I've noted that it's when I show up, almost all the time, like when I show up, I'm great. And then it's just simply when I don't show up. It's the actions when I'm invisible that are like I've got this stupid ChatGPT that's like I psychoanalyze myself with, and it gave me the feedback the other day. It's like, do not concern yourself with actions that validate who you are. Concern yourself with actions that are required when nobody's watching. Yeah. And that's been like the missing piece. And so it's like, okay, cool. I can build off of that. That's like that's a grasp. That's a hold I can.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I can take on to. So who knows? It's like,
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Dude, same.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, and dude, I mean, we're close in proximity. This is the second time we've kind of gotten together and talked. Leverage me anytime. I've been dude, I love Matt. Also, Matt's fucking awesome.
It's so awesome because like Matt is such an interesting character. Where Matt is one of our roommates, and we call him the golden boy in the house because he has like some of the strongest bedrock of character that I've seen in a man. Of like, he's 27 years old, and he's primed with the foundation of character to just dominate in every environment, in every arena of life. And then there's this like this thought that he has of like, I can't do it, or it's not worth it, or it's not that I can't do it, it's that it's not worth it. Sure. That when I reach the finish line, I won't be happy. Therefore, why even sign up for the race? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, we call him the golden boy because he has like all this raw, very structured creation potential. And so he shows up in every area of his life at an exceptional level. And everybody around him is like, yeah, Matt is the man. Yeah. And then it's like, dude, harness that. Like, take that and that's maybe like the weird part about being a human and being a man is like, when everything around you is set up where you have infinite potential and only you can't see it, or you've just mentally maneuvered yourself into a position where you just believe it's not worth it. Yeah. And then it's just self-defeating. It's a scary place to be. It
is a scary place to be. But yeah, I mean, I've like, the more and more he and I have been like just engaging in our like business arrangement, it's like, I really fuck with this dude. I've been telling him that we should like spend some more time around each other. He should come to the office. I'll come here, hang out, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I felt the same way the first time we talked. We had an awesome conversation, and like also a third person there who was awesome. But dude, I mean, I live 10 minutes from here. Like,
let's go.
Call me anytime. Yeah. You know, hit me to hang out. Like, I'm down. Let's figure out your path.
Dude, let's rip some steaks. Let's hang out.
Let's rip some steaks. Yeah. Dude, I've been on steaks lately.
Dude, it's like the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cooking steaks with the boys is like,
sure.
Pretty premier. Talk about like things that make you feel like yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's like fundamental to being a man. Is like
100%. Ripping steaks with the boys. Yes.
Dude, it's the best. I'm gonna just dropping texts to the boys, be like, yo, trying to rip a steak right now or what? Like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, let's run through. What's obviously, you know, Matt, and I just kind of shared like at least my external perspective of where he's at. Like, how would you advise Matt in that situation of like knowing he's capable, having the bedrock of character, and then also just deciding that the race isn't worth even running?
You're just looking at it from the wrong frame. It's not about the end, right? It's like, what can we learn in the process? You know, for you, it wasn't about finishing the 100 miles. It was all the little lessons. It was the kitchen table. It was just doing it to do it. You know what I mean? It was all the little moments there that matter. It's like
the
that
5 a.m. hallucinations. It's
the
kitchen table.
It's just not about the finish and whether it was worth it or not. It's like, because if you value the lessons on the way there, it's like you can logically multiply out what are all the ways that this can apply and the impact of that. It's impossible for it not to be worth it if the spoils are the lessons.
Yeah. If it's the little moments, the memories and the friends we make along the way.
Yeah, and it's just like what you can do with those. It's just wrong. It's wrong lens.
What do you think are the most like key skill sets that someone like myself or someone like Matt or even yourself could be learning and gaining mastery in today's world? Like, I think the next 5 years of reality is going to get a little wonky. So what skill sets are you kind of investing in?
It will. I think of everything more in like look, skill, like tangible business skills all change. It's just like, I think the things that matter are like critical and strategic thinking, resilience, the ability to zoom in, zoom out, being experienced in metacognition. Like the only thing that I think really matters a ton is learning how to think and problem solve. Beyond that, it's like, who fucking cares? It's like all skills are just X number of iterations away from mastery. And you can really shorten the on-ramp when your ability to consume information, understand the information, and use the information, if that skill is super high, it's like everything else is a sub-skill.
That's Alex Hermosi's definition of learning, is your ability to, discover information, but then apply the information and the time it takes to apply and actually live out whatever you've learned. The rate of learning, right? Are there any technical things that you're investing in right now? Like software development, video editing, anything like that either you're super bullish on or very bearish against?
We are developing some content softwares right now. I'm pretty bearish against, building small AI tools as a business model right now, even though I am doing it, but I am bootstrapping it, small budget, and the plan isn't some huge company. It's like scale it to 2.5 million a year MRR, dump it 18, 24 months. Because it's like we just watched so many people literally raise like VC money to build like these little AI tools that like we are X amount of time away from like
being
Google and ChatGPT just looping it into their subscription.
Yeah.
It was like the first time I saw this idea. Do you remember Hotjar?
Hotjar?
Uh-huh.
The name is super familiar.
So it was a heat tracking software, a heat map for funnels.
Yes.
And
where someone was actually going on a website where they're navigating.
You could watch website activity and get different like visual maps of like, oh, people clicked here way more than other spots. People bounced, like if they scrolled this far on the funnel, only like 30% of people scrolled this far, whatever. It was a really valuable tool in understanding consumer behavior on funnel page. A few years ago, I have no idea what Hotjar is doing now. They had to pivot if they're still alive. But Microsoft launched, what is it called? I'm drawing a blank right now. Microsoft Clarity. It's a heat mapping tool that is free, and it does everything Hotjar did and more.
Oopsies.
And that was the first time I was like, fuck. Like, Hotjar was a huge fucking company. They thought they did something awesome, and they literally just got gutted because Microsoft could do it for free. And it was like, that was a big lesson for me in what you do. I'm actually super bullish on just like blue collar businesses right now. I think if someone's getting into marketing, I think they should handle trades. Yeah. Like marketing other shit right now is
info product is dead. Go to the trades.
Yeah. And I mean, because even if we look at media buying, it's like media buying isn't hard right now. Why I still love and am investing so much in us growing Content Factory is because we are still aligned with what Facebook is going to do, right? Facebook started a year ago. I started shouting that this was going to happen when they had launched Advantage Plus. Media buying agencies sit in between Meta and the business owner, and they are soaking up billions of dollars a year. Meta's going to want that money, and they're going to make it so business owners can run their own ads. I guarantee you. They started with Advantage Plus, and then what did we get 2 months ago or whatever? Andromeda. The end of fucking media buyers. literally one campaign, one ad set, dump as much fucking creative as you can into it. And it's like businesses still don't have infinite creative iteration, nor even if AI gives them that, do they understand exactly what they're looking at. Right. So it's like creative development still online, and for the foreseeable future, still a great investment, and even more important than before, because to launch successful ad campaigns, you need more creative than you've ever needed. But strategic media buying is gone. Yeah. There's no targeting outside of maybe like age and geographic, and that's it. Yeah. And it's like everybody should understand this too. Like if your media buyer is still building tons of like custom audiences and shit, like they're just
ticking.
The clock's ticking, and they're really just wasting a bunch of time. Like if you duplicate those campaigns, like they're probably, I've tried. You're not going to beat Meta on open targeting by any significant margin.
Yep. Yeah, at this point, it's conversion optimization. So, like, where in the funnel are you optimizing for conversion, and how many creatives are you iterating on?
Yep.
And that's the value proposition.
Yeah, there's still real value in having someone smart looking at what's happening on page or inside the funnel. But yeah, as far as the actual button pushing of the media buying goes, I could teach a fucking plumber to do it today.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I handed them the creatives.
It's true. If you hand them the creatives,
correct.
Is the key.
Which is the key.
Yeah. That's the linchpin of the whole thing right now.
Totally.
Now, and it's also probably the one part of the equation that Facebook has zero interest in solving.
Yeah, they're just never going to want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it puts you in a very valuable position.
For sure, people need more work from us.
How do you navigate what problems to solve, like in relativity to these Fortune 500s, Fortune 3000s, Fortune 100s? Like you have these giant companies, i.e. Facebook, Apple, Google, whatever, OpenAI. And then you have business owners, like you have your local info product, or you have like, let's say 2 million to 25 million a year info products. You have online coaching, you have online agencies, the problems that they're solving at a small scale versus these large companies. How are you navigating like this of like content creation and creative creation? That's a more localized problem to solve. So how are you kind of approaching the problems that you're solving as a business in relativity to these larger companies?
Yeah, I think that I don't have a great way to think about it or a framework for it at this point. I think for the most part, like, try to stay out of the way.
Yeah.
Try to stay out of the way of wherever they're heading.
Do you have any interest in taking on these big companies and doing something revolutionary and disrupting the industry or the marketplace at a international and you could say multi-billion-dollar level?
No, not in technology or marketing or software. No, I have no desire.
Why is that?
Doesn't light me up. It doesn't light me up. I am getting involved in drug treatment facilities right now. I definitely have the ambition to change the way that things are done in that industry. It's pretty sketchy, and
that lights you up.
Yeah, that lights me up. And like I would be willing to take on big fights there. But like, yeah, it's just like I just don't think what we're describing is even a possibility.
Disrupting that space.
Yeah.
You think that it's become like in a lot of ways like an old boys club? Like at this point, it's a gated community and nobody's allowed in.
I do think so. I mean, AI brought new players, you know what I mean? But Sam Altman was not a nobody when he started OpenAI. He was not a nobody. He was in the club, and he came in and changed everything and rose to the top of the club in a lot of ways.
He had a guest pass and they put him in on a full membership.
Yeah. And look, I'm sure there are some people who would be crazy enough and talented enough to do it from the ground up, and like that's awesome. I don't care for it to be me. I would like to.
So you'll stay out of the way and you'll play the best game you can.
I'll stay out of the way, play the best game that I can to catch a draft here and there, like we are with content. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I did see Andromeda coming, and their desire to extract some of the money from media buyers. Mm-hmm. We do some media buying at that, but it's because it's really, we do some media buying for our like higher end packages, but it's like I said, it's not super hard to fulfill on the actual media buying piece the way that it used to be. And our job is already massive creative development anyways. And so it was super easy to tack on and like catch some value out of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I'm not going to sit here, and I'm also just not going to like act out of integrity with like what's going on. Like, I'm not going to approach a business owner and be like, my strategic media buying is going to be so much better. It's just not true. And I think that a lot of like marketers are probably still holding on to that. And it's like, not only are they wrong, but it's like, it sits outside of like their fiduciary responsibility to the client. Their like frantic self-preservation is actually getting worse results for the client.
Yeah. It's the transactionalism masked as relationships, where it's like, oh, we care about you and we're going to do things special for you. Yeah. And really it's, I need to pay my bills.
Yeah. It's like these old like strategic marketers like really should start evolving into like creative directors and working with people like us and saying, hey, we're going to do all the creative ideation for the angles and the hooks and the story that we're telling in the creatives, whether it be static or video. And we're going to work with people like you to make that vision a reality. And we're going to iterate angles quickly, and we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And this is what we need. And like, they should just become a creative director for a company and really run things that way, and evolve instead of holding on to like, I know how to like run ads.
Yeah. What other paths do you see in terms of evolutionary ability for marketers? Because it's like either you're going to become a creative director or
it's like they need to, why I said like, I think like if I was to be a marketer right now, I would be approaching blue collar businesses, is because like they need to just wind the clock back. They need to go work with archaic businesses. And to buy themselves another 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
Clock's still ticking, but at least you buy some
clock's still ticking, but you can buy some time, and you can make a lot of people a lot of money in the meantime, and that's a good enough life. And you could probably make enough money to set yourself up and then build on that compounding money and be fine.
Yep. I'm looking at it of like the full exit hatch is like, just go learn something else. Like just go to a different industry, learn a new job, learn a new skill. But the old model of like build a service, like build a marketing agency tailored to info product, then build a software, like it's just not really feasible anymore.
No.
And so it's like now the new paths, I love what you said. It's like either wind back the clock and go into archaic industries or businesses, or the alternative pathways is launch an offer that you're actually passionate about, like what you're doing with men's work, or sobriety, something like that. So it's like either take the skills that you know in marketing and apply it into a business that you're actually running, like rehabilitation or whatever else, or just become masterful at creative.
Yeah.
Telling a story.
Yep. Yeah, like we were talking about, I think brand and good cinematic storytelling right now is like the future.
Yeah.
It's the only thing winning.
Yeah. And I think we're actually seeing, it's like Ghost just sold to, I don't know if this is public information, but
I think it is.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper Keurig. Yeah, for like over $1 billion.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does Ghost do differently than Rain or any other hydration drink? It's arguably not a better product. It's arguably just a better brand.
Yep, it's better brand. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, they just dominate fucking brand, and they're cool.
The case study that I'm really fascinated by recently is Andy Frisella, First Form. Are you familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First Form is now getting into like First Form energy drinks and all this other stuff. And I just can't see it being successful. Like,
are they still doing crazy numbers?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But it's just a fascinating, like, I've been thinking about them recently because like I was originally bought in on First Form because of the MF CEO project and who Andy is.
Yep.
And so that's like almost like the personal brand business, right? Where it's like you're buying the product and you're enrolled in the business because of who the brand is represented by, aka Andy. And my interest in that world of Andy and the MF CEO project turned into Real AF, and now it's more political and everything else.
Yep.
And I've lost interest. And then the product is not competitive relative. Like none of them are competitive. You know, am I going to buy Yerba Mate or Red Bull or Ghost or First Form Energy? Like, why am I actually going to buy it? And it's probably out of how much I like the brand.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm realizing that to a certain level, you have to tell a better story outside of the individual, not just the personal brand. Like,
I would be really interested to see what's happened to their revenue numbers over the last 5 years.
Let's look it up. Yeah. When we wrap this up, I'm fascinated.
Yeah. Because that's a good question. I mean, because you're totally right. Like, brand's weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Andy's brand is strong.
Yeah,
brand's weak. Yes. You know, like, how they built those is crazy. I mean, so like I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, which was where the first supplement superstore ever was. Supplement superstore still is an awesome supplement store. You go in there, people like the culture, how friendly they are, how good they are at educating you and helping you with product selection and product knowledge. Like that's a great store. But yeah, I've always been confused by the scale of their brand online outside of just Andy Frisella's personal brand. I don't understand why they're a 9-figure brand. I think their products are okay, and I think their branding is shit.
What do you think they could be doing different or better?
They could be cooler. Like,
what does that look like to be cooler?
It looks like Ghost. You know what I mean? Like, you just know when you look at something and it's like, that's fucking cool.
How do you develop those skills? Because like I never identified as a cool kid.
I don't know. Like I don't know. I always felt cool.
You just always had it.
I felt cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it's like you look at like Arlen and anything that he makes. It's like cool.
Everything he does is cool.
Everything he does is fucking cool, even when it's whacked.
Yeah, yeah. Even when you're like, brother, that is not a good
Arlen's
take.
done some fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he fucking ran an offer for a period of time called Travel Ho.
Yep.
T-Ho, baby.
Yep. T-Ho.
Somehow cool.
Yeah, and he made it. And, you know, it's like, what I've been thinking about is like, okay, is coolness just like unabashedly being yourself? And like, that's just what it is.
It's part of it. But there is aesthetic that matters.
Yes. And that's what I'm like, I'm trying to navigate my own life right now. It's like, okay, yes, unapologetic authenticity, Travel Ho. And it's also like, how do you make that cool? Because it's like, I've experienced in my own life and also a lot of people around me where like they fully express who they are authentically. Like I would say that First Form is a very authentic brand, but it's just not cool.
First Form isn't. Andy is. First Form is soulless. It's just white and blue text, and that's it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like
even all their athletes and shit seem fake to me. Like it just all seems real fucking surface to me. When you compare it to like dark sport and like their brand and their athletes and the events that they throw and the fucking like story and vibe that they capture. And it's like, I just don't think that there's anything to First Form's brand.
Or something like Raw Dog Run Club, where it's like, there's just something cool about it.
Yes.
How do you think that compares to like the big boys, like Enron and oil and gas and these technology companies where like, I would argue there's absolutely nothing cool.
Apple was cool. Apple is cool.
Apple is cool.
Yeah.
OpenAI isn't, I would say.
No, but it's like whether it's OpenAI or oil and gas, there are certain things that just like the magnitude of what it is, just like we're talking about like energy and like multiplicative value there. Like it far outweighs everything. Like and the need and like how integral it is into the future of society is just so big. You know, OpenAI doesn't need to be fucking cool. Like they just rebuilt the fabric of society.
You know, I think it's very similar to the like going back to the very start of our conversation, like operators versus artists, where it's like unless you can definitively and based in reality confirm that this is 1,000 to 1 output operationally. Like I would say like the hotel industry, the garbage industry, oil and gas or energy industries, technology industries like OpenAI and whatnot. These are 1,000 to 1 operational values versus you have something where it's like Apple could not justify 1,000 to 1 operational value over Microsoft. So they just said, all right, let's just be cool.
Let's be cool. Right. Yeah. And it's like different types of industries and different things that you do. They have maximum operational value output. Like there is a ceiling, you know what I mean? And the only way to break that ceiling or to significantly gain an edge over someone else is being cool. You know, it's like look at clothing and fashion, for example. You had all of the really entrenched luxury brands. And then in the last 10 years, you saw super cheap fast fashion come online, which was just mimicking a lot of that. But then you kind of saw this middle ground come in of like not super expensive, but not inexpensive brands come in and take hold of clothing and fashion, right? And like literally one of my favorite entrepreneurs is Ronnie Fieg, the founder of Kith.
Oh, nice.
And it's like, I think Kith is the coolest fucking brand in the world. Like nobody is fucking cooler than Ronnie Fieg. I mean, he's not even that cool, but like his mind is, and his like what he's built is like, it's just fucking sick. And you look at some young guys doing it, like a brand that like even Arlen is particularly obsessed with, Nude Project. They are a European clothing brand. They're trying to break into the United States right now. Like they're just fucking sick, and they do awesome. They make awesome creative, and it's like they're just fucking cool. Look them up, and they're like $100 million brand now, or maybe like they did 90. I don't know.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
And they haven't even broken in the States yet, because for a European fashion brand, the United States is where you go to die. People here are enormously void of taste.
Yeah, very art. Different.
And so it's like to break into the United States and survive, like you need a real push. And they're trying to do it right now.
Wow.
They're doing it in a big way. They like basically moved here they just started like 2 months ago. They started in New York, and they're just throwing huge, sick events and like getting the name out there here, one major market at a time, and like bringing in all the right people. It's going to be a fun journey to watch. They're documenting all of it.
That's super exciting. It's also interesting because it's like, how does that apply relative to like middle America? Right, like the 50% of America that's obese.
It doesn't.
Working blue collar.
It doesn't.
And do you think those people are just going to be left behind?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's the Wall-E world.
They'll still get service. Like, okay, one of the coolest things that I think has happened in fashion in the last 10 years, Carhartt. So Carhartt is this brand that historically just services like workwear. You know what I mean? Good, great quality clothes and jackets and whatever, but it's like you wear it to the work site, right? You know, however many years ago, maybe 7-8 years ago, I don't know when exactly it was, someone at Carhartt came to them with the idea of like, hey, we make really good quality clothes, and why don't we break into streetwear? And some fucking genius with balls executive at Carhartt said, you know what, let's do it. And they launched Carhartt WIP, work in progress. And it is one of the sickest, like, modern elevated streetwear brands out there. I have so much Carhartt WIP shit. The brand is so cool. Like everything they produce is sick. Everybody wears it. Like they're a fucking player in like modern streetwear. And it's like, that's Carhartt, a fucking redneck brand, made that swap and built this little side quest into a fucking monster that is at Fashion Week. It is the coolest fucking move ever.
It's good to see them break into it. And it's also very surprising from a giant.
Yeah. It's like, wow. It's like you would think they would shoot that idea down, whoever brought it to them. Yeah. And someone said, you know what? Fuck yeah.
He walked into the corporate meeting in Tim's and Timberland's and he said, you know what we're doing?
Literally, dude. And someone was like, yes, sure. When you know a bunch of other people said no.
Yeah. Dude just came back from his ayahuasca trip and said,
he's
this
like,
is exactly what we're doing. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's interesting because like there's a lot of sadness I find in my heart of like the thought process of like so many people just kind of being left behind, and so many like opportunities and potential that will never be actualized. That song Richmond, North of Richmond, like I think it blew up a lot for a lot of reasons, but I think primarily because there's like this silent desperation and anguish of so much of America and so much of society in the world right now. Like the European Union, I don't know if you saw this, just rolled out CBDCs. And so in the next like 2 years, cash transactions are essentially going to be illegal. And then that's the opportunity for the central banking of Europe to introduce negative interest rates and allowances on different spending categories. And that is horrific to me. And I think most people in the world are like kind of feeling this, like, I don't have this position of authority and this position of autonomy where I can operate outside of the system. And so there's just this desperation. It's like, I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to be swept under the rug. And the solution isn't a 5 a.m. morning routine. And most people aren't cool enough to have this type of brand. So it's like, what do you even do with that? And it's cool to see stories like the Carhartt story you just shared, where it's like you have someone that against like a large corporation like Carhartt against all odds was able to make the transition. And there's also survivorship bias there. Like you look at Bud Light and what they did with like the trans commercial and losing like half of their...
That was crazy.
That was so awesome. And it's like, but also kudos to them for a swing and a miss, you know? Like at least they showed up and they tried. They did something bold.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was like, and I mean, you've seen me talk about things like I sit on a pretty liberal side of the political spectrum. Mm-hmm. I've been extremely supportive of like LGBTQ communities and very outspoken in regards to these things. But from a business perspective, I think that was, I mean, it was just like, dude, like
There was no brand awareness.
Tell me you don't understand your fucking audience.
Yes. Yeah, there's zero brand awareness there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck did you... I could have told you that was going to happen, and I know nothing about Bud Light.
Yep. Yeah. Good recovery with Shane Gillis and Post Malone.
Yeah, they brought him back to life for sure.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was just like, you never should have done that.
No. That was like in kindergarten level mistake.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's like the woke mind virus, like in real time. As any mind virus, right? Where we just become like so certain that this is the right way to go. And then it's like, there's no reality backing that up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, dude, like have some sort of native outlook.
Yeah.
Like around what you should do and how you think about things. Not just like being captured by like if you guys like really wanted to turn into a brand that like you were super disgusted by the way that like the like new right was treating, gay rights and talking about trans people, and you wanted to really stand on that, great. But like,
there's a way to do it that isn't tone deaf.
Well, and fucking talk about it and like say like, hey, we've got a problem with this, not just like throwing a trans person, the most popular trans person, on your ad. Yep. Right? Like we still don't believe that you like cared about that. No,
and it's like that's the virtue signaling versus like actually demonstration of virtue.
Correct.
Where it's like Bud Light could have actually endorsed LGBTQ movements and communities,
donated some money, sponsored parades, like done a bunch of things to say like, hey, we give a shit about this.
Stand by you. Yeah, and especially endorsing it in like the places where it matters, like the blue collar gay couple, and like the trade guys that are homosexual. It's like giving a voice to that community would actually show, hey, we understand our audience, which is these blue collar men in America, and also we stand on business when it comes to this thing.
Yeah, put those people on the ads.
Yeah. Simple. Yeah, it really is simple.
Yeah, someone fucked that up big time.
She lost her job. Yeah,
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that was an easy one. The writing was on the wall. What would you say to the companies that want to be more proactive about like actually affecting change in areas that they're passionate about, but they don't want to do it in a tone deaf way, like Bud Light? How do you navigate that responsibly while also not doing nothing?
Yeah, I mean, like the brand has to develop a voice, and it has to get involved in the conversation. Like bottom line, like you have to be a part of the conversation before you start spouting opinions and a bunch of things, right? It's like sit around and listen, show up at these places, right? Donate, see what happens. Like, get involved with the relationship managers at a ton of these funds and nonprofits and people that distribute money and are super in there. Like you have to, it's a mission to go out there and get involved. You go understand it, before you just start like taking stances publicly that are just like completely uneducated and like, void of like emotion and purpose.
Yeah. No base in reality. Yeah. This would be like for like First Form. It's like First Form has an opportunity to like get super involved and increase their presence with local run clubs and local Christian or political parties. Cause obviously their brand is super patriotic, very American first. It's like, well, why not get involved in those types of things? Why not increase your presence in local ranching towns and increase your presence?
Yeah. And they're not playing the influencer game right either. Like, if you're a young up and coming fitness influencer, like First Form isn't your first choice to go get sponsored by. Like you're going to go work with Young LA or Ghost, Dark Sport or Ghost or fucking someone else that's not First Form. And it's because it's not cool and it's not like grassroots. Like, it's like, okay, like,
when they don't feel patriotic, even though patriotism is their brand.
Yeah.
So it's like, go be the places where patriotism is before talking about patriotism.
For sure. Like, I just don't think that brand has a voice. I think that Andy does. I also haven't watched anything from him in years. I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
That's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about is like these influencers like Craig Ballantyne, Andy Frisella. Like there's a lot of these like godfathers in like this kind of masculinity, personal development, patriotic sphere that I used to listen to a lot.
Yep.
That I just like don't tune in on anymore. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. Like, I wonder why I no longer listen to a voice that used to matter so much to me.
I mean, they just stopped. They didn't evolve with like the way that we were evolving, and they stopped adding value, in my opinion. Like Craig, Andy, Bedros, like all those guys, like I'm really good friends with a guy who's like historically been really good friends with like Bedros and Craig and like that group of guys. And, he and I were talking about it a couple of days ago. It's like, yeah, they just like kind of just stayed the same. And like the world was changing too fast. And it was just like, whatever, like they still just talk to middle-aged guys and they help them in the way that they can, but it's like they're not going to be players anymore.
Yeah, and when that's okay, like if you want to sunset, that's fine.
Yeah. Absolutely. But like the game's different. Yeah.
I have a good friend of mine who has a podcast, and it used to be a pretty significant podcast in like the biohacking and personal development space. And he's like, right now, I asked him, what's your plan? And he's like, I want to double down and like really set the example and like be the demonstration of like all of this work. And I'm like, respectfully, I just don't think that's where the game is going. You know, you've been trying to like use this like podcast and this platform as a way to like make yourself a better person and be the example for 8 years. And it's been awesome and it's been successful. And also like understand that there's a new signal, and the signal is like distributing that information and actually going out like the School of Hard Knocks guys and like putting it out in the world. It's totally different application.
Yes, it is way different. Oh, like everything's changed in the last few years.
I think like the meta narrative that I'm seeing, at least in my own life, and that's been most fulfilling, and I think that the direction, especially small brands and creators get to go, is like it's no longer about leading by example, but empowering others to demonstrate competency of whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's no longer like look at my case studies and who I am. It's more so now like look at what I'm able to impart into someone else immediately.
Yep.
Like Jordan Welch did that series where he took a guy from broke to like 10K in a month. And it's like, we're more excited about that 10K than the millions of dollars Jordan Welch has been able to do.
Yep. I think that's all better storytelling. I think it's way more on the level of the viewer. It's just better. It's just better marketing.
Yeah. We want more heroes' journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go out and live it.
Yeah.
Dude, Brodie, thank you so much.
For sure. Good combo.
Great combos. Great vibes. Till next time.